But
We live. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
First Monday of the second half of the year. That's a fact.
The first half was tremendous.
And they thought it wasn't going to be. They said it wouldn't be, and it was. Shout out to everybody that's tapped in right now. Market Mondays. Today is, today the 3rd?
Yes.
3rd of July. Happy birthday to all the cancers. It's cancer season, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cancer season. My brother just had his birthday on Saturday. G, what up? Happy 44th.
Happy birthday, G.
Happy birthday to G.
Yeah. Happy 44th to him. And happy Monday to everybody that is in New Orleans right now. EssenceFest is wrapping up. Shout out to everybody that was in attendance, everybody that showed us love. It was incredible. Man. I gotta say this, man. I want to say I'm proud of everybody. Everybody that's tuning in right now. I want to first say that I'm proud of y'all. Because a lot of times we forget that people are actually like executing on the information, and we forget to tell them how proud. This young lady walked up to me. Shout out to Fidelity. We had a panel, and everybody that's attended our panel at EssenceFest walked up to me and said, I'm so glad that you guys are here. I just wanted to tell you this. I've been waiting to tell you this for about a year now. But listening to Market Mondays, I've made $1 million in the market.
Hey, we need you on the show. You don't know who the hell I could be, can tell I be. That's amazing.
I just stopped, like, I'm so proud of you. Like, that's the only thing I could think of. Like, I'm so proud of you.
You deserve to go to Lake Como and celebrate.
You too deserve to be on the waters of Lake Como and having gelato at 1 a.m. in the morning. You deserve that.
Put 1 million in the comments, and that gelato was fine. Why is their gelato healthier than our normal food in America?
You too deserve to have gelato. This is a fact. Yeah, I mean, like, really just proud of everybody that's doing the work and executing on the work. Because think about that. Like, that's 7 figures, right? Imagine if you went from not knowing how to even trade 3 years ago to now making 7 figures in the market. That's incredible, just for your own personal, but just what that does for your family and what that does for the people around you. That's life-changing money, man. And all it took was a little bit of information and some execution, man. So shout out to everybody. I'm proud of every one of you that are out there doing it, man. It's very, very humbling to know that we played a part in that. But again, y'all had to, push the buttons to make sure that it went through. So shout out to y'all.
Here's the best part. It was absolutely free. No management fee. No subscription fee, no back-end royalty, right? If we made you money, please put yes in chat. I need a bunch of yeses tonight.
She's sitting there watching right now, like,
I'm in the mood tonight.
Talking about me.
I'm proud of you, Queen. We need you on the show.
Yeah,
just 5 minutes.
And there's so many stories like that, man. So shout out to everybody.
Do remember, hit the like button and share. This is live show, broadcast.
The last one until after InvestFest.
Facts.
Perhaps.
Facts. So let's get into this. There's a lot to talk about. First and foremost, shout out to the great city of New Orleans. Thank you for the hospitality. Thank you to my brother Larry Morrow.
Yeah, Morrow.
Legend in the game.
A certified one.
Held us down, went to his restaurant, went to his club, and shot some content with him that'll be coming out very, very soon.
My God, for real?
Yes. It happened. Finally.
That was dope. Shout out to the Baldwin Company, which is a Black-owned bookstore
and coffee shop
in New Orleans, and we got a chance to go to that and actually did the live taping of an episode with Larry there.
Mm-hmm.
So that was dope. It was a very dope experience. Happy birthday to Richard Lou Dennis.
Rich Lou.
It's our guy. Shout out to Fidelity for having us at EssenceFest. Shout out to EssenceFest. Shout out to everybody that was there. It was very well put together. Shout out to my guy Chico.
Yes.
Nas's right-hand man. Shout out to Marcus, Nas's barber.
Yes.
We connected with them. Shout out to Roxy.
Yes.
Shout out Roxy. She cooking.
Yeah, she was on a plane with us. And Terrence J, of course, my brother Terrence J, the legend himself. That's my brother. Shout out to Terrence J. Shout out to Kenny Burns.
1,000%.
It was just it's so many people that was out there, man. We was all out there. Mike
shout
was
out to my baby.
Oh, there you have it.
Nice.
There you have it.
Zen, what's up?
There you have it. There you have it. So yeah, it was vibes. Shout out to Styles P. I was on a plane. So I'm on a plane coming back from New Orleans last night. We didn't get it back into New York till 12 o'clock.
Yes.
And Styles sat next to me on the aisle. Like I was here and he was on the other aisle, so we like kind of like, across from each other.
Yeah.
We started a conversation. The plane was taking off in New Orleans, right? And I'm like, yo, you ever heard of ChatGPT? He's like, nah, what's that? And I showed him what it was. And that started the conversation as the plane took off. The conversation ended when the plane landed.
No, it didn't. It ended when he was walking to his car to the parking lot saying how he's not going to sleep tonight.
Yeah, I literally spoke to him for 3 hours.
And he light up, boy.
Yeah, me and Styles had a 3-hour conversation about ChatGPT, about AI, about the state of hip hop, about drill music, about veggies, about everything. Like,
Al Sharpton was not happy with it.
Al Sharpton was on the plane also.
These guys talked 3 hours straight. Nobody could sleep. I had noise cancellation, but every time I looked, I'm like, I seen Shotty's body moving, so he was laughing. I'm like, they still talking?
Yo, it was I've never done that before. I had a 3-hour conversation across the aisle with Styles. So shout out to Styles P.
Can you tell us the biggest gem that you took away from the conversation? They're gonna kill me if I don't ask. You don't have to answer. But Styles, I need another verse. Write it in ChatGPT for me, please.
Well, it's one of these things where Styles is a very he's a very smart guy and very he's super dope. So a lot of the conversation was about AI, and he was just saying like he had never seen ChatGPT ever in life. So when I was showing it to him, and he was just like, "Yo, this is scary, bro. Like this is going to take away so many jobs." And he was like, and then we start talking about the music side, and he was like, like they can't duplicate the soul, like the soul part of it. Like there's nothing they can do to get the soul. So his thing was like, he was just very he's like, yo, I'm not gonna be able to sleep tonight, bro. So yeah. So it was a great it kind of like a microcosm of what's happening now with society, where so many people are just unsure about AI, not really, want to embrace it, but then kind of scared about it at the same time. Not sure if it's going to be a good thing. Not sure if it's going to be a negative thing. It's just crazy. So yeah, that was a dope conversation, because it was dope just to show him that for the first time. He had never seen it before, and
common theme.
Yeah, a lot of people have not seen
common
it
theme. Common theme.
Did you show him the app, or did you show him like the web version?
The app.
The app,
yeah. Common theme. I had a conversation this week with a gentleman, an exec formerly of NVIDIA, about AI, and enlightening, man, enlightening. And we've been on a great path where we're exposing people to what it is and the power that it can have. But also there's the other side of it, and we spoke about this too, is that we're being introduced to it as a general public. So imagine how far ahead the technology is from the engineering side, in the engineering world, and in Palo Alto, right, in Silicon Valley, what they're doing now that this is being released to the general public.
Yes,
we got to be super mindful of that. So yeah, man.
But I just thought about it. The flight going to New Orleans, sitting across from me on the aisle was Rashi.
Yes,
and me and her, we spoke. We had a great conversation.
That wasn't 3 hours though.
No, it wasn't 3 hours, but it was a good conversation. And then me and Styles spoke. We had a great conversation, and then Al Sharpton was in the first row with a 3-piece suit on.
What was his temperament that day? Because Al.
Al, and he was chilling. He was sharp. He was sharp as a tack. It looked like he just came out of Sunday service. He had the hair slicked back. He had the shoes on.
He had the shag back.
Mind you, show up as a star everywhere.
Mind you, it's 100 degrees in New Orleans. He had the 3-piece suit on, pinstripe. Al sharp as a tack.
What Pepsi say? The TV won't know.
It was great when we seen him. He was when we at the time when he was standing in the bar, like not drinking, just standing there away from everybody. I'm like, yo, that's really him,
fresh like a preacher on Sunday morning.
Shout out to Al Sharpton.
Shout out to Al Sharpton. That's a fact. All right, hit the like button and share. Oh, last thing, big episode tomorrow. Our brothers. We got a special surprise for you guys for July 4th. 1 o'clock tomorrow, 85 South.
Yeah.
Oh man,
85 South show.
Karlous, you told me about that.
Chico, and DC Young Fly, all three of them. We interviewed them. We did it a few days ago. Another one where we showed them ChatGPT for the first time. Super dope part. They actually it was a script. They started reading the script on the spot. It was super dope. They had never seen ChatGPT either, and it blew their minds. We did it right in the middle of the interview, but they got a #1 show on Netflix right now.
Go tap into that,
shout
please.
Out to them.
Run it
and,
up.
It's good to see them. It's good to see them in good spirits. And that was a dope conversation about. They got so much business going on. It's crazy. We had never met DC Young Fly. It's the first time that we ever met DC Young Fly, which is crazy.
Yeah. So, but here's the best part of that. It was like outside of everything that's going on, he's investing. Like he's in the stock market.
Oh yeah, no. Fly invests and trades.
Yeah, like he's like a day trading, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be dope. We actually got a Zoom call that we're gonna have together just to go with some strategy. But I was like, yo, that's dope, man. Like just think about where you come from. Obviously, everybody knows you for one thing, but like your interests are beyond just what people know you for. So you see him in the acting, you see him doing comedy, but he's investing and trading. So shout out to DC, man.
They all invest, but DC is like probably the most involved in it.
Yeah.
And he was telling you like, I watch y'all all the time. He's asking us questions like, yo, what about how you feel about the options, day trading? How many trades should you take? Like he's very
interested.
He's a student. He's a student.
When I did the episode with him, like he brought up Haikanashi, and I was like, bro,
he's watching it all. Yeah,
no, he's watching it all. He's tapped in. I know he had done some stuff with Aristotle before. So shout out to DC. So that comes out 1:00 tomorrow. 85 South EYL collaboration on our YouTube channel, all podcast outlets. Check it out.
Oh wait! Before we step into our normally scheduled, just real quick, want to shout out the home team. July 15th. If you are in New York City, if you're in the tri-state, if you anywhere in the world, shout out to the home team. Curl Fest will be July 15th at Randall's Island in New York City. Randall's Island. Shout out to Simone and the whole team. Anytime we get to support, we will. We actually went to Curl Fest a couple of years ago and watched over 30,000 people come together for a movement, man, around natural hair. So shout out to them. They're bringing it back this year, and that's the home team. We went to high school with her. So to see her growth and her team's growth is incredible. So make sure y'all tap in. I know the community center. The center is bringing some young ladies from our neighborhood out there. My daughter will be there, and hopefully, I think we'll be in town. So we're gonna pull up.
Yep. All right. Let's disclaimer, please.
Yeah, y'all know how this works, man. Do your own research. Our content is intended to be used. It must be used for informational purposes only. It's very important to do your own analysis before making any investment based on your own personal circumstances. You should take independent financial advice from a professional in connection with, or independently research and verify any information that you find on our show and wish to rely upon, whether for the purpose of making an investment decision or otherwise. This is a message brought to you by the good brothers at Earn Your Leisure and the good brother Ian Dunlap, the master investor himself. Please continue to do the research, and please, when y'all see us, tell us how that research has panned out. Like we said, a lot of money is being made, man. It's always humbling to hear it. So shout out to y'all. Proud of you.
Millie,
announcements.
Yes, Stock Club call will be this Saturday. We had an amazing call this Saturday talking about the Wagner Group. Maybe we'll talk about that tonight. There is a little civil war brewing in Russia. Putin and his former right-hand man. So that was amazing. Stock Club prices will be out tomorrow. Go to joinredpanda.com. Sometime this week, I'll release the renewal subscription link for you guys as well. And for InvestFest, Red Panda, I need 700 of y'all to join me on stage. So, Ashley, get ready. I won't have any issues this year. You got to show up. And if I've made you money, please put yes in chat.
700.
All right, so let's do this.
700 breezy.
The new movie.
700 breezy.
300.
What are the top performing tech stocks in the first half of 2023?
I've been waiting for this all week. So the first half of the year, things have done pretty well. Nvidia up 190%.
Yes.
Mark Zuckerberg he took out 45. He put back on his 23 jersey. Been in the zone. I can't lie. Meta's up 138%. Tesla's up 113%. Troy, you talked about this one being a stock of the year. Amazon is up 55%. Apple is up 50%. Netflix is up 49%. Microsoft is up 43%. And Google is up 36% for the year as well. So the big message I want to give is, even though there's a lot of discussion week to week, day to day on the news outlets about what companies matter, It's the same 5 to 8 companies that matter the most, and the people that held the most are the ones who end up getting the biggest gains. Nvidia is one that I was screaming about all last year and top of this year. So for those of you who are still in it, I'm very proud of you. But I think the lesson here is not to try and sector rotate or chase the news that you may see on CNBC, and just to focus on the ones that are producing quality gains and that has an edge in this new generation. Like the old tech model is over. The social media model is dead. And of course, with the innovation of AI, NVIDIA, AMD are going to be some major players. But if you miss out on those, Apple is still printing 52%. Microsoft is up 43%. Meta has done incredibly well. And of course, Bitcoin has made a great surge as well. I don't know if you want to classify that as tech, but Bitcoin has had a hell of a return this year.
I'm gonna run down some more tech. Right, those are the major players, but there's some other ones inside of tech that are having incredible years. Let's start with cybersecurity. Palo Alto up 83%. Semiconductors, AMD up 76%.
Yep.
Salesforce up 60%. Broadcom up 55%. Fortinet up 54%. Lam Research up 53%. On Semiconductor up 51%. We're talking about real numbers, right? And so, like, even if you weren't inside of the big core 5 or 6, there was still gains. And we'll talk about another one later on tonight. There's still opportunities for gains, right? When we talk about technology and we talk about semis, I mean, we've covered it extensively, and we will continue to. There's places inside there. There doesn't have to be a sector rotation every time that you hear that on the news. Like, stick to your script, stick to your plan, and stick to the things you know. Stick to the things you know.
Power systems, they were up 50%. Like Carnival Cruise Lines, you can bring them up. I'm still not a fan of them, but you can't deny the gains. They've been up, I think, almost 90%. Like, this year was a rebound year. The interesting part is, while all of those are up, the Dow is up 3% for the year.
Right.
Unbelievable. So, like, top of the year, I was saying that we were going to be flat. Dow is relatively flat. The S&P has not moved that much outside of those 8.
I think S&P's up 14%.
Yeah,
14.
I think it'll pull back maybe August. Something, not a lot, but it's really interesting that the Dow has not moved. But that's because of the weighting, how the Dow is constructed. That they haven't had more gains, and I think at some point that needs to change.
Yeah, and then we got Nasdaq. I think up 27%.
Nasdaq is cooking.
Yeah, Nasdaq.
2 tech, 2 index, no stress.
Yeah, think about that though, right? Like last year at this time, we were looking at the Nasdaq down 30%. And so that's when we talk about being in the game and thinking from a long-term perspective from investing. This is what we're talking about. In 1 year, you watch something be down 30%, and now come back a year later, it's up 27% with, good signs of showing that there's still more growth to happen.
Which was the ideal time to buy? Like, if the S&P is down like 14 to 20%, and NASDAQ is down like 25%, that's really an ideal time to buy. And that's why I always tell everyone who's listening, like, don't get dissuaded by the news to not invest. Like, when things are at its worst and you're hearing all the negative news, that's an ideal time to buy. Like, and most importantly, it's just consistently buying and blocking out the noise is more key than anything. Because I hate when people are incredibly optimistic to buy at the top of the market, and I'm like, that's not the time to buy. Last year was the time to like load the boat. We're in a cycle of acquisition, and now that AI has become like the new NFT or new crypto rally, as a result, the market has went up a hell of a lot. So, but the biggest lesson I want everyone to take away from this is pick 4 that you love, hold on to them for dear life, and pour money into them every month.
Do it.
Put it in chat. Investing is easy.
Yeah. Also, if anybody remembers, I'll go back to this again. The presidential cycle. Remember, we spoke about this. We spoke about
2020.
We spoke about this. We spoke about it like 3 different times. Put yes in chat if you remember when we spoke about the presidential cycle.
That is copyrighted, Rashad. Now go ahead. Drip report by Dunlap coming soon. No,
so we spoke about this, and it's crazy because during the historical information for the presidential cycles, the second year is usually the worst for a stock market. Second year of a presidency.
Yep.
The third year is the best.
Chef's kiss.
And then it kind of cools off a little bit going into the fourth year. So it's crazy because that's actually what is happening.
Yeah.
And it's almost like right around the time. It was like, around like early spring,
first quarter
to late fall is the bear run, a bull run, like a really big bull run historically. It's actually played out exactly how history has dictated in the past.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy if you think about it, because we actually spoke about it
many times, a multitude. I think even Caleb talked about it as well. I think one of the guys, maybe Peter talked about it as well.
And we went over the chart. Your chart guy.
Oh yeah. JC, shout to JC. Yeah, he went over it as well.
He went over the chart. He actually showed the chart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When everybody was saying, "Hey, this is not a bull run. This is not a bull run. There's going to be a bear market coming," and he's showing us otherwise and saying, "Look, I don't make these things up. I'm just looking at the data and what it's showing, and the data has been correct thus far."
Here's the thing I want the audience to know. Also, July is like one of the best months to buy stocks as well. So like, even in the first 15 days, like we should get a nice run. But like most stocks that are publicly traded and most funds that buying them are buying them in like long only strategies, meaning they're not shorting. So even when Apple hit, we'll talk about it later, the valuation of $3 trillion. Some people was like, well, should we short it now? And I'm like, for what? When 90% of the funds that are buying it long only. There are some stocks you could short. Like if you look at the worst performing stocks, AP, Etsy, CVS, Truist Financial Corporation, you can short those. But the ones that are printing 50%, 70%, there are funds that are only putting money into them on the long-term side. And the same cycles that you see like in, let's say the NBA, there's only maybe maybe 8 or 9 teams historically that are going to win titles year over year. You want to act as if that the Indiana Pacers have a chance to win. Shout out to the Indiana Pacers. It's my hometown, right? Or home state. But the Pacers not winning a title this year. So in the same fashion, these same cycles work over and over again. There's best months to buy, best months to stay away, best months to short. It is your job to follow the information here and take advantage of it so we can make you money.
I will say this also, that remember when I said a while ago when tech was going crazy right after the pandemic, and I'm like, this is overinflated and it's going to come down.
Mm-hmm.
And right after that, it came down. I don't think we're at that point now, but we're fastly approaching. You have to understand when things start to not make sense anymore and when something's not sustainable.
Even AI.
Well, AI is here to stay, but I'm just saying, just the hype around it for companies to just go up 58%, 120%, it's not sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
This is not. So we will see a pullback in tech.
Yes,
for sure. For sure.
And I will call it one of pre-recorded shows.
Huh?
I said I will call it one of pre-recorded shows. Can we open La Marina back up or something? Boy, hey.
So I say that to say, just you have to be patient. I know if you miss this run, I mean, it's not like you can still, but you never want to buy high. You never want to buy at a 52-week high. That's important.
That's the law.
Unless your dollar cost averaging, then it doesn't matter. But if you don't want to try to time the market and put money in it at the high, so you will have an opportunity to put money into the market, but you just have to be patient.
It's true.
You must practice patience.
It's true. I'll be like 100% transparent. Like this Tesla run that it's been on over the past 2 months, I wasn't in, and I've been trying to like just be patient with it. Like I have shares of it. Obviously, I'm making money on that side, but I like to do like leaps in the options game, and the timing hasn't been right for it, and so I just got to be patient with it.
Away. Yeah,
it's just been every time I'm like, nah, this ain't it. This ain't the time. This ain't the moment. But that's something you have to learn. Like there have been times in the past where it was like, I'm gonna catch this thing on the way up, and then it goes up, and then
it slides
huge slide.
60%. Yeah,
you're right. And so this is one of those times where experience and patience and discipline comes into work, and now it works in your favor. It's like I'm happy for everybody that is in Tesla. Like it's a company that I believe in. It's why I have shares in it.
Yep.
But watching people like win is like that's dope, and in the back of your mind, like All right,
Damn, I
that's
wish I would
great.
have caught that one.
Yeah, that's great. I missed
Yeah.
it, but that's cool. I got to be cool with that. I'll have wins because we in this game for a long time.
Yeah, and for those of you who are investing long term, just hold on for 10 years. Block out all noise. One of the biggest mistakes I see people is taking in too much information, trying to get a confirmation bias one way or another. When if you just let the equity sit in your portfolio and add to it, you'll have way. Like, how many people do we know that probably have been watching the show for a year and a half, 2 years, and still haven't executed yet because they're afraid or taking in too much information? When you could have just had the gains if you would have just applied the information. So my biggest suggestion to everyone, I mean, even, and the reason why I love Apple, when they even close above the 3 trillion valuation, like they're still printing amazing gains. Like if you have a big, so for those of you who have more money, let's say you want to put 100,000 into the market, 500,000, you're like, where's the safe place? Apple's going to give you the slowest and smallest drawdown of any big company, and you'll still be able to have predictable gains out of that. So if you're working with a smaller account, you may want to pick something more volatile, if you will, to try and get a gain there. But if you have less money, Index and Apple are a safe way. So regardless of any market, as Jim Cramer would say, there's a bull market somewhere, and I'm
somewhere out there. It exists somewhere.
Hit the like button and share.
Yes, text your auntie, your baby daddy, your side dude, Uzi Vert, text Ice Spice. Shout out to JT for having 2 phones, being an amazing Apple investor,
and getting and she got the phone back. Boomerang.
Boy, I said she is superhero.
Don't play with me,
boy. Fellas, I'm just networking line don't work.
Yes,
don't work.
Sirski. Yes, Sirski. Get your tickets to InvestFest.
Please.
Sean Diddy Combs has been confirmed as a headliner. Congratulations to the great Robert Smith, who sold a company for $4.6 billion. It was a cybersecurity, I believe.
Yes.
Cybersecurity company named Apatio.
Microsoft purchased it, correct?
IBM.
IBM. Okay.
Microsoft. No, IBM purchased it.
Okay. 4.6.
He bought it for $1.9. He made a lot of money on that transaction. So let's break this down, how this works quickly. It wasn't that he sold his company. I saw a lot of people that was a little confused in the comment section, saying like, we shouldn't be selling our companies. So
for $4 billion, I'm gonna say it. For $4 billion, yes, you should. Yes, you should. If somebody offered y'all $4 billion, listen, you can sell Red Panda. I might have 2.5 right now. I don't even need to be at the table. Let me get my 55%. Stop saying that we shouldn't sell companies. The purpose of buying a company or building a company is to sell it so you then can enjoy time with your family, not to be slaves forever.
Or perhaps create more companies.
Yeah, well, the thing with his business is private equity. So what they do is that they purchase companies, right? They invest in companies, but they pretty much like purchase the company. They own majority stake in the company. They'll buy X, Y, and Z company, and they'll pay $100 million to have 51% ownership of the company. Yep. And the reason why the owner of the business will do that is because they feel like they have taken it to the point where they can't take it any further. And now they need to scale it. They need resources. They need money. With the hope and the intention that the company is valued at 100 million today. By the time that they sell it, they might sell it for $1 billion, right? And then everybody eats, because now you're going to make money on that side as well. So that's actually what he does for a living. He buys companies and then he sells them. Paul Judge just texted me. That's ironic.
Paul.
So
we need to get Paul on the show. And Rashawn Williams, my brother. I know you're not doing interviews, but if we can get you and Paul on the show together, that would be great for the culture. My bad, Rashawn. Go ahead. Got to put it out there.
For sure. So it's his business model to buy companies and to sell them. So we just have to educate the public to understand that he didn't sell out. It's not like he sold his company.
Yeah,
and he could sell his company if he wants. That's his right. But that's not actually what happened. So he sold, and he sells companies all the time. This was just a very big sale.
Yeah.
So he sold the company for $4.6 billion. Everybody made a lot of money in that transaction. It's not like he gets $4.6 billion, obviously, because he has partners in the company and, you know, the owner, original owner. So let's say he made $100 million. No matter what, he made a lot of money, right?
Well,
so this is something that very important piece of news. And of course, he will be headlining InvestFest. So it's crazy because that came out, and then at the same week, our other headliner, Diddy,
made some news.
It came out that Diageo parted ways with him, and that's a big deal as far as the tequila brand that he has, and really understanding the business side of that. And he enlightened us to a variety of different things that we weren't aware of when we spoke to him about the liquor industry and why he sued and why he felt that it wasn't fairly done. And he was saying, like, you know, the information is important for entrepreneurs to know when you're dealing with corporate, like how they take advantage of people and how they, you know, play off of your ignorance. So he's a headliner as well. And then the other key headliner in this situation is Richard Paul. And it came out that
did he have a great week?
On the first day on the first day of NBA free agency, yeah, 390 million closed in contracts for 3 of his clients, and he will be at InvestFest.
And that was just in the first day. He has since added more to that portfolio. We just saw Anthony Edwards just signed an extension for over 260 million.
Sheesh.
They're
Rich Paul, I need an agent.
But here's the best thing. There's a bunch of other people that we can't announce yet.
Look,
Get your tickets.
When can we announce my lineup, yo?
No, Ian,
we gotta practice patience.
There was a text that came through 2 days ago that you don't even know about, that I'm gonna have to text you about, that's been added. Is historic. Historic is an understatement. Monumentous is an understatement. What's going to happen here is something that is going to be beyond legendary. When you have this level of talent, this level of brain capacity, this level of excellence in the same place at
one time,
what's about to happen for our community is going to be life changing, man.
Get your tickets to InvestFest. This is something that's never been done before ever in history of the world. And get your hotel. We have a hotel block. It's on the website.
Do not wait to the last minute, or you'll be staying in Tennessee trying to drive over.
So the first hotel block is gone, but I think they have the second one at the Hyatt Regency. So if you're trying to get a hotel, tap in at the Hyatt Regency. Go to our website, investfest.com. Get all the information. Make sure y'all get your rooms. Y'all want to be there in person. Be there early. We're gonna be there about a week early. We're gonna be doing a couple other things that we're gonna announce, but make sure y'all there.
But I want to say something too about this is a lot of people say all the time, where it's like, well, if he sold it for $4 billion, then it was worth 28. They get this from this Master P thing, when Master P was like,
shout out to Master P and Rap Snacks.
So shout out to Master P for sure. But I mean, yeah, it's kind of common sense. Just think about this logically, right? If you're selling something to me and I'm buying it from you, I think that it's more valuable than what you're selling it for, or I wouldn't buy it. That's just the common
room. Yeah, and a supply chain for them to make a return.
It's the system only works if there's a buyer and a seller. There has to be a seller for the system to work. If there's no seller, it's not going to work. So this is like the original barter system, right? Where it's like, if you're selling me something, I think that I'm going to pay for it right now, but it's worth more than that, or I wouldn't buy it. So that's not the best way to go about it, to think like, well, if he sold it for $4 billion, then how much? Because it might not be in his interest to keep the company for 20 years and nurture it. And he got a bunch of he's buying 100 companies in that time frame, right? Like his model is to buy it, build it, and sell it. Yeah. IBM's model might be to groom it, grow it. Neither one of them are bad, but we have to be careful because we're repeating narratives that we fully don't even understand ourselves.
And maybe that didn't work for other people.
Yeah.
You can hold on to, like, so if you're an entrepreneur and you sell to or have an angel invest, there needs to be room for the angel to invest and take it to venture. Venture needs to be able to take it to private equity or go public. Once it IPOs, there needs to be room for the retail investor to have room for it to grow. Also, you should know what that multiple is. So if I take Red Panda and sell it to Schwab for $2.5 billion, I need to know how long it'll take them to get to a multiple of 16 for it to be worth it in a down economic environment over a 4 or 5 year period. Otherwise, no deal. That's why you have to study every market, every swath of investor, whether it's small, large, private equity. And that's why if you come to Market Mondays or InvestFest, like you need to listen to all the, not just if you're in real estate, you need to listen to more of the private equity and publicly traded side. If you're in stocks, you need to go listen to PE and venture and media, because you need to, even when we talk about celebrities, a lot of times people will say, why? The celebrity is also the marketing engine for the company for it to go public. Going back to Diddy, there's no way in hell they shouldn't have offered him equity, and they're offering him royalty on products. But when Jay said, I wanted to buy this for 1.5, after they said it was 1.5, why wouldn't you sell it? Because it is worth way more, and you don't want him to get control and interest. But if you're not having these conversations and you're only reading the headlines on Instagram and Twitter, it may not make sense. There's been, you want to talk Ponzi schemes, that entire liquor market and how they've been using us for branding and marketing for the last 30 years is fucking egregious. No one would have been buying that product if it wasn't for Diddy.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, the part that people got to realize is the amount of time that it took for him to even get to that point, right? He's been trying to have his own spirits for 20 years. Like, we're watching it over the past 10. Like, this is great. Like, we started seeing those Ciroc commercials maybe in 08, 09 when he's, they're doing the Ocean's 11. That's 08, 09. But like, he's fighting that since the early 2000, right? And what he's fighting for is not just for himself. It's for what's coming after that, for the next person who wants to have their own spirits, right? So you're not just gonna treat him away and set a bar and a standard for everybody that comes behind him. He's trying to make sure that everybody makes profit and makes it a situation that it benefits both parties, not just the one side. And that's what we've seen. So
once again, these companies like hedge funds are owned by small families.
Yeah.
And often they won't let other families in of a certain hue, and we have to have a coalition to figure out a way how to be able to do so.
Yeah. And still, and we brought up Diageo when we were at Market Mondays Live in London, right? We'll be talking about, and we talked about over the percent since 1993. It's been up 1,200%. That's a lot to do.
That's insane.
With the marketing from people from our culture.
Well, we'll monitor the situation. Okay. So let's talk about the Supreme Court, two rulings that affect people. The first one, let's talk about affirmative action. So, yes, Supreme Court ruling on affirmative action. This is something that is big news for anybody that has a child in college or looking to go to college or looking to apply to a university. For sure. So in a landmark decision, the Supreme Court has ruled against the use of race as a factor in university admissions. The court's ruling stems from a case that questioned the constitutionality of affirmative action policies in higher education. The verdict has far-reaching implications for affirmative action policies, which aim to foster diversity and address historical racial disparities in education. Advocates of affirmative action argue that such policies are vital for creating inclusive educational environments. Conversely, opponents believe that admissions should be based on merit alone. This ruling may reshape demographics of educational institutions and has ignited a renewed debate on how to achieve diversity and equity in education without using race as a criteria. This is also important to note that President Donald Trump changed the makeup of the Supreme Court by appointing, I believe, two conservative. Was it two?
I think you got three.
Three?
I think you got three.
Let's do some researches to see, but several conservative Supreme Court justices. Once you get appointed to the Supreme Court, you're there for life.
Yep.
So it's extremely important, like, as far as, when somebody gets on, and the court is a conservative court at this point. They outnumber the liberals. So obviously conservatives have never been a big proponent or fan of affirmative action. So it wasn't really a surprise that they would, target affirmative action. And they did. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. So 3 justices.
Yep.
That's actually a lot. I think that's probably more than any president.
Remember he had that right before the election. He got the last one.
It's pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
He only served one term and got three judges in. I don't know if that's ever happened before. So okay. What's the deal?
1 is disheartening. 2, this is another pawn off the board to close that racial wealth gap. If this is going to be the case in the ruling, then all legacy admissions need to be waived as well. There needs to be a suit on that. So Harvard, Princeton, MIT, Brown, you have to do a reform and change on how legacy gets into your universities and institutions. The first thought that I had when I saw this, though, was, are we surprised? I've said it many times on many platforms and probably 4 times on here. And everyone says that I was race baiting. I'm going to get in my Umar bag for a second. As soon as we at scale started and that Black women started to build businesses, make traction, we got into real estate, stocks, crypto, NFT, Airbnb. All of a sudden, there was all these roadblocks and legislation to slow us down. And if we have our legs cut off from underneath us in terms of college, I think this is a linchpin that has been in the works for a long time, but I think they wanted to accelerate it because they saw the traction and involvement that we were having in investing. I think in terms of solutions, we have to find a way to get to our kids earlier, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade. I think we played a big part in that, but I think we have to do more, because if they're going to go merit-based, the quote unquote, pick yourself up by the bootstraps BS, we have to find a way to reach our kids earlier. But this is why the political system is like so key, and who you vote for has a huge impact. And if you voted for Donald Trump and you are Black, I don't want to hear anything. I want to be clear. If you voted for Trump, you got to lay in bed and accept this L and what comes with it.
Yeah, this is the byproduct of that vote and him being able to select 3 justices. But the case is interesting, right? Like, it was really based on a group called the Students Fair Admissions Act, or program, that was fighting a case in Harvard and fighting a case in North Carolina. Those 2 schools about the admission process. And they didn't ask for admissions to be banned. They didn't ask for affirmative actions to be abolished in admissions. They wanted affirmative action and ethnicity from all educational settings.
Yep.
So admission is just the first thing.
First step.
Right? It's the first step. The next thing, who knows what it is, right? It's like, hey, we won't administer financial aid. There will be no race theory teaching at any public university or state university. Like that's really what the goal. Like, people need to pay attention to that, because admission is just the first thing. The other part is that, and doing the research on it, it was like, wow, I wonder if they've tried this before. And then you look in the research and you see that California, they did away with it in the 90s.
Yep.
Michigan did away with it as well. So you had 2 states where it didn't exist at all. What does it do for college admissions? I mean, the obvious is it makes it less diverse, right? Courses that used to be taught will now be predominantly non-productive, right? Like, they had to study at Michigan State where they had students that were in African-American studies, right? That class is no longer predominant. It's not even, it doesn't have the population that it once did, right? So the effectiveness of the teaching is like, well, okay, who are we teaching this to, right? So it spans there, but I think, does it spill over to economics?
Absolutely.
Right, because it starts in schools, but then it spans to an economic issue and then a hiring issue, and it's like, you can see how this plays out.
I mean, we were just talking about it in Market Mondays in London. We're like, Rashad, what was it? A 0.5% of all funding goes to Black startups. So now if you don't have quote unquote education and you aren't able to network across with people at school, that will cut the funding even there dramatically over the next 10 to 15 years.
Even the thought of having admission based on merit doesn't even make sense, right? Like we went to college, we know how this is, man. It's really not about what you know, it's about who you know.
Yes.
Right. And we saw that with the college scandal a couple of years ago. It's really about that network of people that you know and who is a booster and who's going to allow you to have interest into your schools. Right. So now it's like, well, how do we change admissions if it's not just based on merit? Do we now do away with SATs? Do we like these standardized tests? What's the point of them? Right. Like during the pandemic, it was like, we don't need them. When they saw that kids weren't trying to enroll or enrolling at the same rates that they liked. All right, let's do it with the SATs. Let's lower the barrier.
Mm-hmm.
Now SATs are back. And it's like, what makes it merit based?
Well, I'll say this. I don't know if college degrees has moved the needle because
Also,
we haven't made any improvements in the wealth gap, and that hasn't changed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I don't know the economic effects of it because it's not like once we started going to college, we just drastically everybody was a millionaire. That's just the truth. So do I think that it's beneficial? No, not beneficial.
It is a way to block us out of the job market as well. So, like, okay, let me play devil's advocate and act like I was the evil villain behind this. And if I want to get 15% of the Black population out of the job market, if I introduce artificial intelligence, autonomous work, and then, like Troy just said, if now for the last 3 or 4 years, I said degrees are required, but after the market fully recovers in 2028, I then say you do need a college degree, but admissions are down dramatically 20 to 23% as a result of this kind of ruling. I can make as Dr. Claude Anderson would say, like a permanent underclass as a result. And when going back to my biggest thesis in investing, like you always have to hedge for the worst case scenario and to know what is your plan of attack from your enemies. Like they are planning these things in 10 to 50 year cycles. Only we're thinking about things in like over a 1 or 2 year period. They've been trying to get affirmative action off the table since I was a kid. Like there's been open debates about this. So I wasn't shocked by it, but we do have to find a counter very fast. Because the rhetoric and argument is going to be automation works a lot faster. We have to pay less. It's a lot more reliable. Then, of course, there's going to be a bunch of secondary and tertiary reasons that we won't be hired. And that's why we have to like find a way to reach our kids and teach them earlier how to be able to make money, have an impact in the job market, how to build, create, and scale, how to sell off, etc. Otherwise, we'll be blocked out of a lot of these industries for the next 20 to 30 years.
Well, we live in a country. So even the merit-based thing, it would be a good idea in theory, but the problem is that it's not an even playing field.
Mm-hmm.
So let alone the historical information with the Freeman Bank and Jim Crow and segregation and redlining and mass incarceration and the heroin epidemic and the crack epidemic, a variety of different things that have unproportionately set Black people back. Black Wall Street bombings, different things of that nature, let alone the historical information.
Yeah.
Just real live data of right now, how the school system works in America is based off of property taxes. So if you are unfortunate enough to be in an economic, hardship and you're born into poverty, then you're going to be in a very bad school system. And that obviously is going to affect your learning. It's going to affect your grades. It's going to affect your test scores, a variety of other things. So that's going to also affect your merit. But this is the country that we live in. And it's really the world that we live in, honestly. Everywhere in the world is very similar, where life's not fair. It's not.
That's a harsh truth, but it's true.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not.
And as soon as you realize that, you'll be better. You'll be better for it. And so
what about life's not fair and it's becoming more difficult?
I don't know if it's becoming more difficult.
Right? 'Cause I'm just for this scenario, right? Like let's just say like let's go back to the merit thing. Like obviously, if they're not affirmative action is out the way, now it becomes your test scores, which we know have been historically racially biased. Now it becomes all right. Well, now you have to write the essay. Like your essay becomes it's more heavily weighted, right? So like they're gonna have to read that essay, but a lot of the people who are part of that admissions process don't come from a background that the person that's writing it is coming from, right? So it's tough for them to understand that point of view. It's tough for them to see through that lens, and sometimes it's tough for them to have empathy for that, or not even empathy, but have an understanding of that. So now that's what we're basing how these kids are going to now be part of higher education at that level, or any level.
But that's why I just said life isn't fair.
That's what I say. But now it's even more. I agree with you.
It's not even more difficult. That's disrespectful to say because you got to realize at some point in time we wasn't even allowed to read.
True.
So we actually have it a lot easier than people 50 years ago, 100 years ago, 75 years ago. So
no, in context, yes. I'm just saying from the point
like
where
we couldn't drink from a water fountain.
From when you went to college, right? Let's say like you didn't have an athletic scholarship, and Ian, when you went to college and I went to college, this admission process is probably going to be more difficult than when we had. You agree?
Absolutely.
That's what I meant. Not historically.
I don't know. But HBCUs, people say support HBCUs. That's important.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with that is that they're not funded at the same level. Mm-hmm. So it's not going to be the same level of education it's not going to be the same level of education that you get at an HBCU. It's just not. Let's just be honest. But most schools aren't really great educational programs anyway.
Hold on. Wait. I'm not pandering. I just want to make sure the education at HBCUs are not as good.
Well, we talked about this. This started at Harvard, right? No, they're not. Not as Harvard. I mean, is that not a factor? Like I said, I don't want to be disrespectful to HBCUs, but I mean, we just got to have an honest conversation.
Let's take Harvard out of it. I would argue if we go to Atlanta, Clark, Morehouse, Spelman is better than most schools. That is better than Indiana University, better than Purdue, better than Illinois, better than Penn.
For sure. Why did Deion Sanders leave Jackson State?
Because he wasn't paid enough.
It wasn't just that. We met him. We had a conversation with him. It wasn't just that. Variety of different things that might not even be.
I know that went to Morehouse make way more than everybody that I know that went to Indiana with.
You're saying he left? Why? Why are you saying
the facilities wasn't up to date? Every variety. It wasn't about his salary.
No.
That's a miscommon conception.
Right,
it wasn't about his salary. It really wasn't about the salary because he told us that before he even left.
Right. Okay.
Many different things that was falling apart and different things of that nature. And that's not, like I said, I'm not even blaming the schools because they might not have the proper funding to actually, do the thing that they actually need to do. And of course, there are great HBCUs, Howard University and Morehouse University. But this even goes back to Robert Smith, when 80% of HBCUs don't even have high speed internet. Mm-hmm. So how can you have? We just have to be honest. Yeah. The HBCUs at whole, of course, there are a couple at whole, are not at the same caliber of their white counterparts. That's just a fact. And that's done intentionally. I'm not blaming the HBCUs. They're doing the best. They're doing the best at what they're provided with. But at whole, at scale, it's not at the same level.
I'm just because when you hear it when I heard you say it, I know people are gonna be like, wait, what? Nah, we're due to the lack of funding, which is intentional. Obviously, if you don't have the lack of the funding, then it's going to be tough to compete from an educational standpoint to some of the things that are allowed at some of these schools, Ivy League schools that have the endowments that are just ridiculous.
Yeah,
I feel like that's what is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay. Got you. I'm with you.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Look, you can learn the same thing at any. The educational aspect of it is not really the most important thing when you go to college.
No.
What's the most important thing when you go to college is relationships that you actually make, right? And the alumni that you can actually network with.
And how to learn, yeah.
This is more important than the information. I mean, you go to a calculus class, it's going to be the same calculus. It's not going to be too much of a difference. The difference is that if you are a business major, now you have an inroad to Wall Street if you go to an Ivy League school faster than if you go to another school. And that could be another white school. But You have a higher chance of winning if you're going to Ivy League.
Yeah, I think people are taking it personal.
I mean,
it's
just a
it's not
fact,
that
though.
you.
It's just a
Look,
fact.
it's not that people who go to HBCUs are not getting a great education. They are. We're just saying from a business, from what you're saying. I shouldn't speak for you, but from what I'm hearing, it's the funding that is the issue, which again has a trickle down effect because if you don't have the money,
you can argue with me, but you can't argue with the numbers.
Yeah, go look at the endowments for these schools.
You can't argue with the numbers. Look at the average amount of money that people are making. Look at the average job that they're getting. It's not about emotional. I understand you might have an emotional attachment if you went to a HBCU. I get it. I understand that. Support black colleges. These are just data. This is just the data. So it's been proven. If you go to Stanford, it's a pipeline in Silicon Valley. It's proven. Like, this is not me just saying this just to be biased. It's a proven fact. Now, that's not even something that should be something that should be corrected, because it should be like, why is only Stanford have that pipeline? But that's a different conversation. In order to correct the problem, you have to admit that there is a problem. In order to fix the problem, you have to know that there is a problem, and there's a problem. If you want to act like there's not a problem, then we can continue to have net worths of $10,000, and the average black family makes $48,000, and we can continue to have, the worst income in America. If we're going to just act like there's no issue, then we're not going anywhere. There's an issue. Now how do we solve the issue?
Maybe we can ask Robert Smith at InvestFest.
He's got some solutions.
This one's above my pay grade.
Yeah. Well, there you have it.
Well, there was another issue that affected students.
Student loan.
Yeah,
You want to talk about that?
Yeah, let's go. Let's do that, man.
Student loan forgiveness was knocked down. I told you in the episode with Big Boy, it was not going to be cleared. Who helped kill the bill? Bernie Marcus of Home Depot, Charles Koch of the legendary Koch brothers, and the Mercer family. I want to be super honest here. Every politician who promises student loan forgiveness is lying to you directly in your face for votes, and they're going to fuck you over, and they're never going to. If you can't file bankruptcy on student loans, how can I allow you to then erase that off of the debt table?
Let me say one more thing about this. Going back to the HBCU thing.
Can I take the Morehouse side and then you take Harvard?
So you can kill me in the comments. That's fine, because it's not about me personally. This has been proven. Graduates from HBCU give less on average than graduates from predominantly white schools. So you're so enthusiastic about your HBCU that you went to, you can't even buy a t-shirt.
What poll or data set was that from?
Look it up.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's why I said if you want
it's a fact.
Look at the endowment and the boosters of these schools.
This is coming from HBC. We're around a lot of people. I'm not just talking reckless. We have information. Like, you think you hanging out with Robert Smith like you don't have information? Like, this is coming from presidents of schools. They're saying, like, we need help, we need funding. The government is one thing, but talking about do for self. You haven't even given to your school that you graduated. You graduated 10 years ago and haven't given $100. So you can criticize me, but why don't you try to have some level of an endowment and give, because the numbers are disturbing. I think it's like 30 or 40% less. These are things that nobody like this. We want to have a real conversation, or we just want to act like everything is okay. No, it's not.
Conversation.
It's really not.
Yeah.
It's really not.
It's bigger than homecoming weekend.
Oh my God.
Nah,
if you went to an HBCU and you're in the comments, how much have you donated to your school in the last 3 years?
Or since you graduated?
Ever in life. Or if you didn't go to a HBCU, how much did you graduate? We gave money to Howard. I didn't go to HBCU. I didn't go to Howard. Just a fact.
So,
Ian, as you were saying,
thank you, Chadi. I want you to go back when we walked out the hotel, Lake Como, lake vibes. Okay,
love conquers all.
As the boat awaited.
Love conquers all.
As the boat awaited.
But any politician that promises you that is actually an asset for most companies. It's one of the most important investment pools of all time, and that's why even going back to affirmative action, and it's already happening in some cases, but even with this ruling, we're going to see a lot more white citizens attend HBCUs at scale over the next 20 years as well. They have to keep that college student loan bubble afloat, because if not, if it bursts, it would be one of the biggest crashes in the history of the United States of America. So I know it was a great promise, it was a great campaign point, but no president will ever be able at scale to be will be allowed to forgive student loan. And I wish that it was. I think we have to have a completely different conversation around if college at this price is worth the investment, because college was not always this expensive. Going back to that investor cap table, if you will, like if you graduate from undergrad, what is the multiple that you're getting on the degree? A lot of times people will blame it on the student and say, hey, well, they're not picking the right major. I know business majors that are coming out in undergrad and they're $160,000 in debt. Then you want them to go get an MBA and not have any great prospects. Like, a lot of things in the country need to change, but the reason why the pricing of school keeps going up, because it's one of the few monopolies that still exist, that they have legislative power already in place to make sure that those rules don't change, so that tranche of money does not get messed with and that liquidity pool for them does not dry up. So
hey, what do you think the immediate economic impact is going to be? Right, October.
Well, let's talk about it. Is that they have to start paying.
That's what I said. That's why I want to go there.
The facts of it.
So the facts is, like, October, people are going to have to start paying for the first time since 2020.
It was frozen.
And we talked about that, and we talked about, payments are frozen, but if you do pay, it is going to go directly to your principal. Some people did take advantage of that. I know a lot of people were like, I'm not paying anything until I hear a decision. Well, we've heard a decision, and people are going to have to start paying. And people that are coming from out of an economic crisis like the pandemic was, you didn't factor in paying back student loan, right? And there's people who have graduated since that. There's been 2 graduating classes since that. And we know from graduating, 6 months after you graduate, that student loan bill is coming. And a lot of people haven't factored that in into their income, their discretionary income. And so now what role does that play? Can people not invest? And what things are happening? So one of the things that President Biden has said is that he's putting plans in, right? He saw that it got rejected, but he's putting plans in. One of the things that he announced is that there's going to be a 1-year on-ramp for loan repayments, during which borrowers who miss payments won't be reported to the credit bureaus, placed in default, or referred to debt collection agencies. So that's a 1-year thing that he's putting in place. They're estimating this is going to be over a $200 million loss in the first few months of repayment. 200 million, 200 billion, perhaps. 200 billion, not 200 million, excuse me. $200 billion loss in the first few months of the repayment starting, because of people not allocating money for this type of repayment. What's your thoughts on the economic impact that the restart is going to have?
It's going to have a huge impact. 2 things, like, you can't blame the end user or the person who got the loan, because they were promised a bill of goods that is not being delivered to them on the back end. If we're going to be really honest, when they keep saying the job market is stronger than ever, I keep saying, where? Talk to people at Meta, talk to people at Google. You guys talk to people. I'm not seeing a proliferation of jobs from 125 to 300,000 becoming readily available. It is not there. This 3-card Monty game that they're playing with a job report is a con. There are no quality jobs. Like, okay, put in chat, yes, if you feel that there are quality jobs in the United States of America right now, or no.
Right. And even when you say quality, and that's why when you look at the job report, it's really important to see when they say that the jobs are increasing or it beat estimates, look at where the jobs are. If you look at the number 1 place, usually it's hospitality. So when we're talking about, right? So when we're talking about careers that are paying 150 to 3, how many of those jobs are being created?
Not many. Also, I mean, I talked about this earlier. The median 401k balance is $27,000. Credit card debt is at an all-time high amongst consumers of all races and all classes. Balances are being held longer than ever. It is showing that our economy is a lot softer or weaker. So why? And this is the main reason why they won't announce if we are in recession. Because if we actually say United States we're in a recession, everyone's going to say to hell with the payments, because they know from the last recession, if I'm in debt, what good does it do me to pay you $500, $700, $1,000 a month, and it's not going to make a dent in the actual principal.
Right.
The average car payment now is like $790.
It's crazy.
This is insane. If
Yeah.
this was a business model, everything about America right now as a business model would be broken and upside down. It would be like Lucid Motors or something like in 2020. Hertz. Like it is upside down and no one wants to say anything. Also, too, the timing of it, when this was being announced, it was during like an election period. So, of course, you can't say, well, no, you're going to have to pay your student loans. Like politicians are going to lie. Like the politicians normally are the guy that says whatever they need to get what they need for that one night. Normally, the unfortunate part with these politicians, you have to live with them for 4 years.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he did, to his credit, to Joe Biden's credit. I'm a registered independent, by the way. So I don't have any allegiance to any political party. But to Joe Biden's credit, I think he tried to get it through. The court knocked it down. They had it up and running for a few years. I think it would have been in his interest to actually make sure that it was permanent, because that would have definitely helped him on the re-election if he wants to run for president again. Yeah. But this goes back to the court.
So Supreme Court Roberts is one of the main reasons that it didn't go through, and the reason when you looked at the some of the facts that they were saying why they didn't pass it was because the impact that it was going to have on the state of Missouri. So most of the people who have student loans, if you ever seen Mohilo, that's one of the student loan repayment centers. The economic impact that it was going to have on them for the long term would have hindered the state GDP of Missouri. And
Missouri, the show me state?
Yeah.
Because that's where the loan center is?
Yes.
People's going to lose jobs?
They're going to lose money because they're going to, if you forgive, let's say you forgive $200 billion. Think about what that does to the economy of that state.
But what about the economy for millions of people that can't afford their student
this
loans?
This is why I'm saying, like, when you look into it, it's like, yo, damn, that
most people never think long term.
Yeah, but most people are not even thinking like Missouri was the reason. And this is one of the things that they're saying in the court. And their argument was like, it actually is going to bring more business, right? Because there's over the past 2 to 3 years, a lot of businesses that relied on student loan repayment, like Mohilo's not the only one. They've had to go out of business because there was no repayments. The fact that Mohilo's still in business tells you like, yo, they can now run a monopoly because they're the last one standing or one of the few standing. Yeah. So now all business goes through them. So these are the type of things that nobody talks about that are happening. Another thing that Biden is trying to do as well, on top of having that 1 year not reporting to the credit bureaus, is that they're lowering the income base. So income base used to be 10% of your discretionary income. They're cutting that down to 5%, which means obviously the more you make, if you're paying 5% as opposed to 10%, there's some cash available to yourself. So that's another one of those things that they're trying to do. Hopefully something gets passed. I have student loan. I was sitting here like, hey, let's see what happens. But I'll do my everyday citizen thing and try to do the right thing when it comes to this.
I mean, it comes down, I don't know about the Missouri thing. I think that might just be it comes down to money. It comes down to money. I don't care if it's New York City, Missouri, Alaska, Hawaii. There's billions of dollars that would have been lost if these loans were forgiven. Mm-hmm. So this is banks and institutions,
hedge funds and pension funds,
everybody that's putting pressure on the politicians, on the judges, everything. Like, look, if you do this, we're gonna lose billions of dollars. Common sense. Nobody wants to lose billions of dollars. Yeah. When billions of dollars are on the line,
that's the common sense point.
Things get moved.
But when they have to report, they got to find a reason.
Yeah, or you could say anything.
Yeah. So this is like literally, this is what they're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And who knows how much money they were making on the float of those billions as well. It's so much stuff going on, like on the municipality side too. If any kind of inducements were given out, or let's say, I don't know if this is true, but like say hypothetically, if they're making 3 to 5% off of it per year, and that's keeping another fund up, like you can't just have that money leave a pool and then all of a sudden like those disbursements are not going anywhere. If anyone thinks that billions of dollars is coming into an organization and they'll just put it in the 0% interest account somewhere, it's not fucking happening. It's not happening at Spotify. It's not happening at Netflix, Rumble, nowhere. Because if so, You think the ESPN layoffs were a lot? Let that student loan forgiveness had happened. It would have been a list of the top 2. Complex, make that list of who would have got laid off.
Y'all want to make a list?
The top 20 layoffs.
All these lists about the best hip hop group and the best rapper and the best producer and the best breakdancer. Make that list. Start with the top culture vulture list and then work your way down.
Can we start with the Black Vultures? I still want to do the Villains and Vultures tour.
The Villains and Vultures tour. Hit the like button and share.
Shout out to Adam 22. I would never. But shout out to the Russell King.
It's like Boogie Nights Part 2.
Boy. It's no fun if we all can't.
It's all fun and games when it's in the movie until it's your real life.
Listen, they didn't invest in has considered. That's a credit default swap for real. That's a different kind of swap.
The default swap of a lifetime.
Anyway,
pay it forward.
Better man than me.
Boy,
wow,
he's a better man.
Wow,
than me. Okay, real estate, shall we? Yes. Should we talk about some real estate? Let's talk about this potential bubble forming in the Airbnb market. And how resilient is the company's business model and economic down? This is actually a stock and real estate question because we can talk about Airbnb stock, which has not performed at extremely high levels. And we can also, I'm invested in Airbnb. It hasn't worked out.
Tell us more.
I bought Airbnb a long time ago.
I didn't know you still had it.
Yeah, it's a little bit. It's not a lot of.
The stock.
It's not a lot of money.
That's why I looked over like, what?
It's not a lot of money, but it hasn't worked out. I'll tell you that much.
What price you get it in? You didn't call me on this one.
I forgot. But Airbnb is currently at $132. I think it debuted in 2020 at $139.
Yeah.
Then it got all the way up to 206.
212. 219 intraday. Yeah.
And then it's just been kind of like moving sideways, dropping ever since.
It's about to be back to where it IPO'd at.
Airbnb. Speaking of InvestFest, we got somebody actually. I'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Airbnb is a very interesting company because it's revolutionized the world, really. And has given hotels really a run for their money. It's really the Uber of hospitality.
Mm-hmm.
And where anybody can now, like how Uber, anybody could have became a cab driver. Mm-hmm. Now anybody, you can just rent your house out or rent your apartment out. Brilliant idea. It's actually one of the best ideas that I think I've ever heard of. But like all good things, there's going to be challenges. Mm-hmm. And the hospitality lobby is extremely strong. And they have attacked them, and they have successfully caused them lots of issues. A lot of cities have banned Airbnbs. Mm-hmm. A lot of buildings have banned Airbnbs. A lot of regulation. You can only Airbnb half the year. You can't sublease the Airbnbs. They've faced a lot of issues. So academics actually even posted it.
I got the screen up.
Reached his radar. So let's talk about it.
You want to go over the cities?
Okay. So these are the cities. Top 10 cities for Airbnb collapse. Orlando, Florida, down 34%. Panama City, down 34%. Seattle, Washington, down 35%. Lakeland, Florida, down 35%. New Orleans, down 37%. Breckenridge, Colorado, down 37%. Denver, Colorado, down 38%. Nashville, down 39%. Salisbury, Maryland, 39%. Asheville, North Carolina, 42%. San Antonio, Texas, 43%. Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, down 45%. Austin, Texas, down 46%. Phoenix, Arizona, down 47%. And the number one is Sevierville, Tennessee, is down 47. Who was paying $6,200 to stay in Sevierville, Tennessee?
What's around there?
That must be, I don't know what's in Sevierville,
what they got going on over there?
But all right,
somebody let us know. Inform us.
Due to our journalistic integrity,
what's happening.
Said this data is skewed, which it can be. My larger point that I do want to address though first is the stock, and then we can go to the business model. I don't think the Airbnb stock is dead, but I think it has been severely affected, like you said, by legislation. So number one, Like if you don't have legislation on your side, you definitely don't want to be attacked if it's not going to be in your favor. Airbnb is a great idea that is probably poorly executed and is a beneficiary of a ton of funding, but the management team isn't reflective of the amount of funding that they receive. Stock is on the up and up a little bit. Everything has bounced up this year just because hedge funds and pension funds have to rotate money. So that's not really indicative of their performance. I think they need to change some of these rules. Like yes, it was an innovative idea to disrupt, but also when you try and disrupt the market, the existing players that are there are going to push back heavily. Hotels have adjusted incredibly well. And let's be honest, Airbnbs are not the safest thing to be in. So if there's a chance that something can, like, if you have a prominent rapper like Pop Smoke die in one of your properties, and on top of that, if I get one in Atlanta, I got to pay a $250 cleaning fee. I'm like, bro, I ain't going on vacation to fucking mop. No, I'm sorry. There has to be fundamental changes in their business in order to make Airbnb viable. Uber, Airbnb, VRBO, some of those businesses come at the tail end of the last cycle of social media or Web 2.0. The business models just are not as strong. I don't like the stock. The stock should hit 140, then slide back to somewhere around between 110 and 100. It probably won't be back to 219 in a long time. It's one of the stocks that got affected by inflation. Now, could they make an adjustment? Some changes in management, restructuring. There's a lot that they can do. There's some people probably from IHG and Hilton that they probably should hire to run the company or add to their board that could give them a stronger push. But overall, I don't like the stock. And for those that have been doing Airbnb for a while, is there still ways to, because I know Matt gonna clip this up, so shout out to MG. Are there still ways to be profitable in Airbnb? Yes, but at scale. Once again, same with colleges, the premise of just rent an apartment anywhere and you can lease it and make money is not as promising or lucrative as was once proposed in 2018, 2019, and 2020. And for that reason, I do not like Airbnb's stock.
So like I said, business model, Airbnb, Uber, it's kind of similar. And their stock has actually performed kind of similar too.
Yep.
Uber has been sideways since it's opened. It's went up, then came back down, then kind of like a cardiac chart.
Yep. Margins are terrible in both businesses.
So Uber is a bad stock also?
Are they coming to InvestFest?
Not currently. Not currently.
Uber stock's a piece of shit.
Respectfully.
Great innovation. Okay, this is Airbnb is equivalent of me using 1990 moves in a 2023 NBA environment. Yes, go ahead.
There's gonna people are gonna say, like, look, they weren't profitable, they finally are profitable. Why isn't this good?
Okay, I'll answer that. And I won't even lean on my two favorite cards, Apple and Microsoft. If they're just not profitable and they're barely better than, let's say, like Wynn. Let's just take real estate. We're going to say Airbnb is a real estate company. Are they better than, let's say, McDonald's?
Oh, no, not Airbnb. I'm saying Uber.
Are they better than Tesla?
No.
We can argue.
But they're different. They're different companies, though. Uber is an exotic
tranche of. Go ahead.
How many times a month do you use an Uber?
Ton.
Exactly.
That doesn't mean that it's the profit margins are terrible.
And Uber Eats, forget about it.
Oh boy. Listen, you see my little stove? I got a pot back there on that stove. You know what I'm saying?
It's a very useful. It's a very useful. Well, that might be an issue, but most people use Uber all the time.
Oh, I forgot that. Hi.
Yeah, we
it's
use
tough,
Uber
man. Listen,
we use Uber a lot.
It's tough when you have relationships.
Pledge your allegiance. Pledge your allegiance. Ian. You use Uber, and so do we. And I think it's a great invention for our society.
But you bring up a good point. You bring up a good point that maybe they need a new CEO, and I don't want to advocate for anybody to lose their job, but I think that the business model in Uber is very solid. and very useful.
Mhm.
The profit margin thing, what you mentioned, that could be an issue.
Yeah.
So, but half of the like I said, I use Uber all the time. I haven't used Airbnb in a long time, but I use Uber all the time.
Absolutely.
And I use Uber Eats even more than I use Uber car service. So I feel that they have an opportunity to be here for the long. I don't see them going away. Because like, let's think about it. If Uber goes away, nobody's catching cabs anymore.
So
like we're screwed.
There's no affirmative action for cabs. It's Uber. Right. Yeah. So think about this, right? And even for some of the issues that they had from a safety standpoint, I know that was one of the issues. They've addressed that, right? Even now, when you're in your Uber, if it's not moving, you get the text message like, "Are you okay? Your Uber hasn't moved in 2 minutes." Yeah. They've adjusted to the safety, but what was also interesting is the international play, right? Like we're watching Uber go into countries. We sat down at AfroCon in LA, and we were talking about Uber going to Ghana and Uber coming to Nigeria. So there's still this international play that they still have room for expansion. Like we were in Europe, it was easy. Like catching the Uber was nothing. So there's still some room for growth. I'm not so sure. I'm bearish.
The net income is down $9.14 billion
for this year,
2022.
2022.
The income was down. That's surprising because, like I said, I don't know why the income would be down. People using it.
It's a margins game. Like, and if I'm going to be super transparent, any business that like is operating off really thin margins or low price, they usually go through this. Sears has went through this. Like the Circuit City failed and went under because it's all like it works for a period of time when there's an exuberance in the culture or country and spending, or where there's so much money slushing around. But when things get tight, will the business be able to survive? Usually, no. And that's on the enterprise side or on the B2C side. It has to, even in going to the episode in government contracting, just because you put in the lowest bid does not mean you're going to get the offer because you offer the lowest bid. You may not be able to fulfill the services needed as a result. So please write this down. Everything in business is really about margin.
Yeah.
I know I get criticized and killed for my prices all the time while doing a free show every week. I cannot wait for all these be pre-recorded.
Yeah.
But you need a higher price point to be sustainable. Notice even when Tesla beat those deliveries, right? Yeah. One of the things they talked about is, are we going to increase these prices back so our margins are not dramatically affected? You need that capital to be able to reinvest into the business. So
I'm glad you brought up Tesla, because that might be a way to help the margins, right?
Yep.
Autonomous driving. This might be a way. And Steve00 on YouTube. Yeah, I'm aware that Uber's in Ghana. I was referring to the gentleman who was integral in bringing the company to the country.
Well,
Appreciate you.
Let's talk about this. Another stock related conversation. So ESPN has laid off 20 on-air personalities. It was Valentine's Day massacre. Jalen Rose.
Shout out to Jalen. He is now exec at the NBA PA, announced today.
Oh, that's fire. Shout out to
Jalen. A lot of people lost their jobs.
Van Gundy.
Which one?
Jeff? Will? Yeah, Jeff.
I think Jay Will's still good. Keyshawn and Max Killerman lost their jobs.
Keyshawn Johnson, Max Killerman, a bunch of people. I thought Max had already lost his job.
Ellis.
So the crazy. So no, shout out to Max. I love Max, bro. I thought that he lost his job already though.
He's on every day too.
So ESPN, so they laid off 20 people, right? So all right, what does this say for the future of podcasting and broadcasting, and how does this impact Disney stock? Because they have that old CEO who's now their new CEO,
Bob Iger,
and so he's cutting. It's layoffs, right? You gotta cut the budget. You gotta cut the budget in order to raise profitability. So how is this going to impact the stock?
Yeah.
And also, what does this say about the future of broadcasting and podcasting? And once again, shout out to Cameron and Mace. I saw Cameron
said that.
Cameron spoke about this. Did you see it?
What Cam say?
He pretty much said how they're taking over the landscape of sports reporting. And this was I'm paraphrasing. This was a sign that it's a new day.
Yeah.
Which I interpreted as, this is a new age media. Shows like that, they really are revolutionizing sports reporting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
But the pivot's a little different. The pivot is more of an interview show.
Yeah.
He's like real-time news reporting, which is actually a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
And we haven't really seen that happen and been successful.
We have.
Who?
Not from our culture, but and I think you texted, but the Pat McAfee show.
Pat, yeah, they have to make room for Pat.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm talking about from our culture.
Not from our culture. And that's why it's brilliant for them. And I'm glad you brought them up because a lot of credit goes to them. What he's saying is spot on. ESPN is looking at it from a standpoint of like, let's find talent who's creating their own content that is successful, and let's see how we can work with them. Pat McAfee is a prime example of that. Rather than paying ordinary talent high salaries, he has an audience. He has a following. They first start him out on ESPN2 with doing the Monday Night Football. Then he becomes part of the college analyst, and then he gets a 5-year, $85 million deal. Why? Because he brings an audience with him.
This is the Market Monday thing.
Yep.
Shout out to Xander walking in the background.
Good as dinner.
So without a care in the world.
This is the market. This is the Market Mondays play, where you take traditional type of media news, but you do it in your own way, your own spin, and you report it, and you and now revolutionize the whole marketplace. So shout out to Cam and Mace for doing that. But yeah, all right. So what does this mean for the space, and how is this going to affect Disney stock?
Podcasting is about to go probably through a 3 or 4 year period of not being as popular as it was 3 years prior. I don't want to say podcasting is dead, but we are going through like the 1980s version of rap is the version of podcasting we're in now. There's too many people talking about, and I asked it 64 times for this reason, to tell people there's not a lot of money in podcasting unless you are unique. I went on Joe Budden, I asked Charlamagne, I asked y'all, how many people make $1 million in podcasting? Not many. Why? Because everybody's talking about the same thing. Academics, Loon, Charlamagne, Joe, I want y'all to get along at some point. I know y'all not, but I would love for y'all to get along. There's too much money out here for us to be beefing. But guess what? When everyone talks about the same thing, there's no really any room for growth. The ESPN thing, a lot of them will find footing, but ESPN stopped innovating. Disney stock has a ton of issues. Capital expenditures are way too high. I said it earlier. I think Disney stock will go underneath 80. If Disney ever got to like $60.39, I would want to buy it there. I would ride it back up to 140 2.5 years later. But Disney has lost its edge. And let's be very honest. I don't know the last time I proactively watched anything on ESPN for 2.5 or 3 hours in the last 5 years. I haven't.
Well, it's a bad business model. The television. Television. Here's why I don't necessarily. I hate the word podcast, so I never use it.
I agree,
but I will use it just for this sake of just using it. But I don't like the word podcast. It's very disrespectful.
It devalues,
it devalues the whole situation. So the business model of television is an outdated model. And it costs too much money. It costs a lot of money to produce these shows. It costs a lot of money to pay the talent. And you got the lighting crew, and you got, lunch, and you got the makeup artist, and you're spending millions and millions of dollars. And you're relying on corporate to pay for ads. But it's just not sustainable. So now when you can do low costing content, like what we do, this is low cost content. So there's a lot of upside to it. Now, the corporate has to catch up, and they have to apply more. I actually think that the podcasting space is going to be more lucrative because I think that the vast majority of shows will just kind of fall off because, they're just nobody's going to watch them and they're just, repetitive. But the few shows that are successful, the audience is going to become bigger and bigger and bigger, and less money from corporate will go to traditional media, and more money from corporate will go to non-traditional media like podcast. So that's my theory. I think that there will be more money being spent in corporate with podcasters over the next 5 to 10 years, and more non-traditional type of programming will come. You even see Shannon Sharp. He started a podcast. Like I said, I don't want to use that. He started an independent show. Let's just say that he started an independent show, right? And he's gonna do really well with that.
Club Shay Shay?
Yeah, Club Shay Shay.
That was with Fox though, right? With FS1.
He's
was a spinoff.
I don't know if it's FS1.
He's
It was. They financed it.
No, he's
the Club Shay Shay? They find it. Are you sure about that?
I'll put some money up.
Okay.
All right.
Well, either way, I think that you're gonna start seeing a lot more of that because it's just not sustainable. The business model, less and less people are watching TV, and the money is not there anymore.
Yeah.
But overall, I think Disney has not broken. The business model that they were using last century or last generation has to evolve, and it hasn't evolved fast enough to catch up with the demands of the consumer base now.
Yeah.
App great, but at some point they have to address. I think the capital expenditures, of course, are way too high on the employee side of ESPN, but also on that real estate side. They're going to have to figure out at what point one of those parks they're going to have to let go of.
Yeah.
The costs are too cumbersome.
The cost. I'm a, and everybody knows if y'all watch I'm a Disney shareholder. And streaming was great. The numbers are great. It has slowed down. They have to figure out how to make this profitable. And we've talked to a lot of people in the industry, and they're like, "Look, streaming services, it's a bad business model." And nobody wants to say it because everybody thinks they're going to make money inside of it because of the things that you just alluded to, Shadi, where the amount of money that you're paying to get the content, to pay the staff, it's a lot, right? With the returns are unguaranteed. On top of it, Disney, Hulu, that's been okay for them, but they have a problem that they have to address before the end of the year, and that's having outstanding rights to Hulu, right? Comcast owns a percentage of it, so they got to figure out what they're going to do with it. The other part is, yes, Bob Iger has done a great job with the company, and they had to bring him back, but what is the succession plan?
No succession plan.
We haven't heard it yet, and that's concerning, right? Because when we talk about, and we said this during the live show, is like, who's the leadership?
Yep.
Like, it's an uncertainty around it. So even as a shareholder, it's like, yeah, we believed in Bob's vision, and I like the path of it, but now, like, he's here for an interim, and who is the successor? Does that get announced within the next 6 months? You close it out because we know his term is only going to be 2 years, and we're already 6 to 8 months into that. So that's an issue that needs to be addressed. But I'm still a shareholder of it. But I believe I'm with you, Ian. The expenditures on top of, and it's unfortunate that people have their jobs cut, right? The ESPN layoffs are because they're notable names, but there were 7,000 people that got laid off early in the year that we don't know their names, and those people don't have a job with the company anymore. So layoffs are happening, and this is one way that people and companies, they do. It's a necessary cost for them to say, all right, how do we get more revenue? Well, we're going to have to start cutting payroll. And it's unfortunate.
Which can only last for so long. Disney's PE ratio at the end of 2021 was 91. It's currently at 39. PE ratio is technically still too high. Even though it's a mix of tech and commercial real estate, the PE ratio to be in a safe range should be like around 22. It has a little bit more to come down. But I mean, Bob is a great CEO. I love him dearly. But like you said, like, he's going to have to extend that tenure because I don't know any viable. And that's another thing. Like, when we had all these CEOs, remember when I told everyone, shout out to Red Panda, look at how many CEOs began to take the golden parachute. That's how you know when times are getting bad. Just like we don't have an incredibly viable presidential candidate, we don't have a bunch of CEOs. Like, the farm system for the next brilliant CEOs, they are not there. And that's many companies. Like, after this class of CEOs begins to retire, there aren't a bunch of amazing CEOs in the wings that are providing a ton of innovation. And that's why, like, the alpha on Elon, as crazy as he may be, even with the thing that he did with Twitter this weekend, which I think is really a non-factor in the long term. That's why that stock produces a lot more alpha in comparison to Ford, because he does have some genius and ingenuity, etc. But there are not a lot of great CEOs at this time that are leading some of our best companies.
I wonder what the thoughts are, and Ray Rodriguez kind of read my mind here. Our thoughts are on Adam Silver. There's been, the commissioner of the NBA, talks of him being a part of that succession plan and being this next CEO of Disney. It's interesting because at All-Star Game in Utah, one of the keynotes was Bob Iger. And most people are like, well, why is the CEO of Disney here? Well, if you look at the network that hosts the finals, ABC is under property of Disney. So it makes sense. But their relationship, they might foster a succession plan. What are your thoughts on maybe Adam Silver?
I think he'd be a good CEO. I think they need a stronger management team, but I wouldn't be mad at him. We talked about this a couple months ago. I wouldn't be mad at him for leaving for that position. I would like to see what his 5-year plan or his vision is for it if he takes it over. Because clearly he has to take it in a different direction. But Adam seems to be very level-headed, and also the players seem to be favorable amongst him, which is a sign that he would probably would be able to get along with the employees very well. And it seems like a very open door type CEO. So I think it could work. But outside of that, I don't see many people who could run that media company right now and turn it around. And
profitability too, right? The NBA, if you look at, during his tenure, has been more profitable than it was before he had it.
Yep.
Which is always a great sign.
Speaking of profitability, can we talk about crypto?
For sure. But before we do that, let's make sure they hit the like button.
Yes.
And share.
Share with 5
people. Baltimore, we will be. I'm coming home. I used to live in Baltimore. So we are this Saturday. We're speaking at the Wealth Summit Live. Go to ravenparis.com, Wealth Summit Live, and get your tickets. It's our first time ever doing anything in Baltimore. So looking forward to it, man. But the Disney thing is just, the last thing is just they built a very impressive company over the course of time with, Marvel, with Hulu, with Disney Plus, with ESPN, with ABC, with so many different things. And that's, on a business, like when you're looking at business at the highest level, that's what it's about. Just like acquiring different things, having your hat in a variety of other things. Like that's something that no matter how you feel about Disney, I think that they built one of the most impressive companies in the history of the world. And I guess that's why Kanye has always compared himself to Walt Disney.
Yeah.
He really has a strong admiration for him and the company that they have built. But it'll be interesting to see what the next 20, 50 years for Disney holds.
I mean, we saw it with Meta. Like Zuckerberg got comfortable. Facebook fell apart. They rebranded it, called it Meta. He's been on the offensive. We need a CEO in that space. Like Disney has not been innovative in a long time. And it happens to all entrepreneurs. You get an idea that work, you'll sit on the idea too long. You won't find ways to kill that business. You won't find ways to innovate. You won't acquire fast enough. I think they can make a turnaround in the next couple of years, but they need the right leadership. They need the right team. And I think they need to paint a vision for what they are trying to accomplish. So
yeah, the media business has been tough on them, and it just like you said, not to be the dead horse, but it hasn't been. ESPN hasn't worked for them. I'm not sure how many of the kids are still watching Disney Channel. Streaming had a great start, and we talked about the numbers that surpassing the parks, COVID, the effect of that, and getting back to those numbers of pre-2019 has been a challenge. The cruise ships, hospitality has been a challenge. So there's some factors here, but licensing as well. When we talk about the retail space, and we've seen how that's been hit over the past 2 or 3 years.
Yeah,
it's been a tough battle. But looking at that, naming all those things, it tells you the amount of verticals that this company does have.
What's so quick. I haven't been able to sleep since Paris. Like that dude really. We had dinner. This effed me up. This effed me up in bad because we had dinner and we was eating with a gentleman and we're working out a situation, so I don't want to say the whole vibe.
Yeah, I get you.
He was saying like he's in fashion. It was during Paris Fashion Week, so we had a dope restaurant in Paris for Fashion Week during the Louis Vuitton show when Jay-Z was performing.
I should have been there.
No, that's just to paint the picture.
Yeah. I just wanted to paint the vibe. But so he was talking to me and he was like, yo, nah, man, like y'all dope, man. What y'all doing is incredible. And then this is what really like he messed me up with this one. He like, yo, I like what you're doing with Earn Your Leisure. I like everything. He was like, you know, I like the fashion. Like, you know, you're on your fashion icon. You know, you dressing and all that. He's like, that's cool. He's like, you need to look at it like you saying, like Earn Your Leisure is a luxury brand, but y'all gotta like really have an umbrella of luxury brands. He was like, you know, you're looking at yourself as a fashion icon, but you could be the next Bernard Arnault. That's his name.
Arnault.
He was like, yo, you could be the next Bernard Arnault. And he told me that. And
This guy out of Atlanta or no?
no,
No.
he's from
no,
Paris.
no,
He's
no.
from Paris.
Okay, got you.
And he told me that, and that was just like crazy because I never even thought of that before ever. And he was like, yo, like, you know, I say that to say this Disney model and like LVMH, he's the CEO of LVMH, the guy that I'm referring to as the richest person in the world.
Yep.
And you know, he became the richest person in the world, not by oil, not by gold. He became the richest person in the world by providing services that you don't need. Luxury
And not
stuff.
at a low price point, going back to margins.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
At a very high price
with no apology.
Things that you don't need. So a lot of times people say like, oh, we always start like, you know, we need more oil. Well, the richest person in the world started businesses and has acquired businesses that nobody needs. Nobody needs Louis Vuitton. Nobody needs, you know, all of these high-end brands that under the LVMH umbrella. And he's worth $275 billion, something like that. And Disney is one of these other things. Nobody needs anything that Disney has. There's no essential need to Disney World. There's no essential need to ESPN. There's no essential need to ABC. There's no essential need to Marvel. But sometimes the most valuable things are the things that people just want. And to be able to curate a whole ecosystem is not easy to do. It's extremely impressive. And when he said that to me, like I said, like it was 2 weeks ago, I've been thinking about that every single day. And it's just like how you just start looking at business different. Like, you know what I mean? Like you start looking at business different. Like, all right, one business is cool, but you got to have 20 different businesses.
Global takeover. Also, profit margin. Let me run some stats on Disney real quick.
Do it for us.
Profit margin is 3.8%. Operating margin is 8.02%. EBITDA margin is 15.17%. Return on assets is 2.02%. Does that sound like a business model you would want to invest in?
What's the cash flow? Any operating cash flow? Are we in the negative?
I don't want to disparage Disney any further than I have.
They're gonna need it for this Comcast deal.
They're gonna need it.
And 50 Cent said he's not buying luxury brands anymore. Shout out to him. But luxury brands are booming. They are booming. And it's no signs of slowing down. So 50 might not be in the market for luxury, but there are a lot of people that are.
Mm-hmm.
And you never get rich surrounded by broke customers.
I like that.
Somebody write that down, please.
Yeah, that's a fact.
That's a fact.
If you're going to charge something, you might as well charge premium.
Well, I did the show for free. If I made you money, please put yes in chat.
Free,
play it all y'all want to. Fuck around, start charging for Market Mondays.
It's either,
and for those who ask for prices for the rest of the year will only be given to members of Red Panda. I've given prices enough for free. No more call it. I'll give you our price targets. I posted a price target early for Apple for 2 years. 214 is the price where I have it going to. No, I'm going to save it for Red Panda.
Can we talk about marriage?
No.
So
we gotta say that. We gotta say that.
Put a post up saying that marriage is a business.
You want to do that right now?
Can we do crypto real quick? Let me get this right off, then you can go.
Yeah.
Let's go to crypto.
Yeah. Or we can talk about the Apple. And maybe Apple after that.
Okay.
Goldman Sachs. Apple crypto, then marriage.
Okay.
Yes. Because it ties right into the marriage. So apparently, Goldman Sachs is thinking about breaking off their engagement with Apple for their card. And everyone messaged me about this. It's like, oh my God, what effect will it have? It's not going to have. Well, if Goldman Sachs decides to break up with Apple and go to American Express, it will be a lift for American Express.
Mm-hmm.
It won't be a drop in the bucket for Apple at all. The AirPods revenue that they are generating alone is worth more than the deal. Also, Goldman Sachs has had a couple of failed attempts on a retail side.
Mm-hmm.
Marcus was one of them that did not do incredibly well. When you are an institutional B2B hedge fund kind of brand, it's really hard to cross over without a spokesperson or without having a track record of doing things for people in the community.
It's not. It's just not who they are.
It's not who they are deemed to be. So
Yeah.
if this doesn't go well, it's not really an indictment on Apple because the Marcus project did not go incredibly well. It will lift up American Express, but Apple will find another partner in this credit card space I'm sure they're not going to.
I love it.
Yeah,
I mean, the American Express move is great. I love it if it's American Express. And when we talk about payment process, we always talk about American Express. We talk about Visa. I think those two love. But I mean, if you're talking about marriage and talking about dating, this would be a prime example of saying, look, I tried, it didn't work.
Yep.
Why is it not working?
It's because it's not who they are, right? Goldman Sachs is an investment bank, right? Like they're not a consumer bank, right? So consumer lending is not what they do. They have tried over the past 3 years to get into that space with Apple, with GM, and then they acquired Green Sky, which is home lending, and it has not worked. I think they've lost $3 billion since 2020 trying to do consumer lending. It's just not what they are. And I think when you realize this is not who you are, you cut your losses. Even also, if it's with the greatest company in the world, present day, right? This is not working for us. Let's try to pass this on to somebody else, right? So they tried it with GM, and they said, okay, yeah, this is not working for us. Let's stop this branch of the business. Let's just get back to who we are, which is investment banking and trading.
And also, Goldman didn't get the credit for the innovative idea. Apple was the one that swept the headlines away. I think that had a lot to do with it as well, because of course, if you're providing the infrastructure, Goldman wants some of the credit and some of the upside, and it only boosted Apple more. So, like if you look when that article and that news came out, Apple stock moved, Goldman's barely moved, and I love Goldman's stock. Like if you want to play in the banking sector, which is not one of my favorites, but if you are going to play banking, like Goldman is like one to invest in, their stock didn't move off the news. Like Apple got majority of the credit, so I think they are looking for a relationship and a partner that they can have a lot more control over as a result.
Even if they do move, it has to be approved, right? So like they can say like our American Express is the partner that they want to move Apple to, but if Apple says no, then they're still under agreement for I think like 10 years, right? Is it 10 years?
Yeah.
Something like 10 years. So it has to be approved if they're going to do it.
Apple has reached $3 trillion in market cap. So here's the thing. At some point when you become too big, then it's an issue. No, it's an issue.
Pause. For the listeners,
I'm gonna do the whole. I'm done playing the pause game. I'm done. I'm just letting it fly.
He showed me that. He showed me that, and Joe's our guy. Love Joe. It was deserved.
But if the company gets too big, why is it an issue?
Because how much more can you grow? Like it becomes a point where
you want the real answer.
You're gonna be bigger than like China, like you're gonna be bigger than Russia. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's
what other companies provide value?
Well, I'm just adding a point here.
I'm not coming at you. I'm just doing it for content.
Yeah, I'm just saying. So it's just like, at a certain point, the upside is just saying like this is not humanly possible for it to be, 3 times bigger than what it currently is right now. Like it would be, the 5th biggest country in the world. At some point, Apple, if it keeps going at this pace, it's going to be the largest country. It's going to be worth more than every country on earth.
Is Apple not better run than Denmark, United Kingdom, Australia, Austria, Switzerland? It's better run than the fucking United States. Tim Cook should be president.
But it's not about that. Government also, although government has the final say so and everything. Government has the power.
That's true.
And I don't think any government. That's very scary. I don't think any government wants a company to has more than their GDP, every single GDP on Earth. So at one point, does the governments around the world, strategically start to dismantle,
frown upon it,
dismantle,
try to.
Impossible. You know why? Oh, and we can get to this Putin and Prigozhin point in Wagner. When you have BlackRock and Vanguard behind you, let everyone put in chat how much assets under management does Vanguard and BlackRock have?
Whew.
They have every country, every politician, every major company, all supply chains under lock, and no one still can tell me who's the principal at Vanguard and BlackRock. Sometimes you need the protection behind the curtain that allows your business to flourish. There's a reason why Apple lobbies as much as they do as well to buy that protect. There's a reason why I came on here initially. I could have went with any other ETF provider. I knew if I screamed Vanguard, even though I wasn't an advisor, they'd provide me some protection. I was already invested into them, so I was being honest in my philosophy and strategy. But I know Vanguard would say, hey, let the little young Negro rock. He been rocking with us. He brought some people over. So if Vanguard and BlackRock are not going to be stopped and they are majority owners in Apple and Microsoft, yes, is there a limited upside? I think the limited upside for Apple's cap is like $9 trillion. But then if they split that price again and go 5-1, while we have incredibly gross mismanagement of our country and 482 stocks are being ran poorly, they can only get bigger.
Yeah.
Ballmer should have killed Hitler and Apple, but he mismanaged the company for 10 years. There would be no room. Microsoft should be Apple right now. Ballmer ruined it. Gates handed him a golden goose, and all he produced was lead for 10 years. While Gates and Microsoft own 15% of Apple.
Well, that's a fact. People don't even know that. Bill Gates is owning Apple. And Steve Jobs always had a strong dislike for Bill Gates. That's a sidebar.
So here's the thing, right? Like if we're looking at that, what are the indicators that say like this has more room to go? Because when I saw the question, I'm thinking to myself, in my mind, the number one indicator that they have is the brand loyalty. Mm-hmm. Like people will just be people always are going to be loyal to it. And then the other part, right, outside of that, the second indicator for me, and I'd be interested to hear yours, is that free cash flow. Right? They're always going to have room to grow because they have money to acquire. Mm-hmm. And if you have money to acquire, that means you're looking at the landscape, seeing innovation, seeing growth, and saying, okay, how can we add this to the portfolio? We have the money to do it.
Yep.
Here it is. Right. So if somebody's creating now and they like it and it's something that they can add and help their profitability, they have the money to say, all right, we're going to do it.
And I said it, they're one of the few monopolies that are loved by the consumer base and the governments. For the longest time, Facebook, not Meta, but Facebook, every big acquisition was being blocked because the government bodies and hedge funds did not like Zuckerberg at the time and would not allow them to acquire anything big after WhatsApp. Apple doesn't have that same issue. Also, the number one thing I'm looking at is their matriculation and adjustment and going into the healthcare space. Even if the healthcare move only pans out to be 15% of what I think it could be, that should add another $1 trillion over another 10 years on its own.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. I'm looking at the market caps now. Apple has crossed 3 trillion. Microsoft's at 2.5.
Yep.
Right. Apple's at 3. Microsoft's right there, 2.5 trillion.
And when I look at the landscape, because there are not a lot of great run companies, it only leads to more room for them to grow and lead the pace. And also the other truth is that no one wants to say, if Apple falls apart or falls short, it will lead to the financial collapse of the United States stock market. So it's too big. It's Jordan in 92.
Too big to fail.
Yeah,
absolutely. And so until you get until you get a Kobe or a Bron that can be on par, where maybe you have a 10% or 9% drop off and institutions can easily we still will not address this pension fund issue in Chicago and Los Angeles, where it's almost evaporated. You don't even have any great investments to be able to stick a lot of money into in municipalities.
Well, all right, let's do this then, because let's talk about crypto.
Yes.
Let's talk about crypto, shall we?
Yes.
What would you like to say about crypto?
Well, first, Michael Saylor, MicroStrategy, they bought $347 million worth of Bitcoin at the price of $29,668. A lot of people will ask me, is this a good level about to buy? I still like it at 24,000, 25,000, but 29 isn't bad if you're going to hold it for a 5 or 10 year period. But remember when I told everyone like the biggest institutions were going to like buy crypto and own it? And I was called a conspiracy theorist. I'm not the foremost expert on Ethereum and the Lightning Network, and I get it. But I was doing some research, and BlackRock is a partner in Coinbase, so they have exposure there. Goldman Sachs and the Apple deal may not work out, but they have exposure in Galaxy and over-the-counter crypto trading. Fidelity has Fidelity Digital Assets. Goldman, I talked about Bank of America as a partner in the CME group, which allows you to trade Bitcoin futures. And JP Morgan has his hands in the Onyx blockchain platform. Meanwhile, in 2016, Jamie Dimon was telling everyone Bitcoin was trash, but they were buying it on the London exchange when no one else was looking. The top 8 institutions have $27 trillion under management, and all of the big players are pushing and buying for a Bitcoin ETF and have Bitcoin and crypto exposure while they demonize it and paid for it to get shut down. The NFT market has dropped 98%. So the big banks have found a way to infiltrate crypto as a result. Do I think crypto will continue to rise? Yes, I think Bitcoin year over year. I think the average return for Bitcoin year over year is like 118% return. You have to have some exposure there, but all the big banks have infiltrated crypto as I said they would 2 years ago. If I made you money, please let me get a yes in chat. And if anybody else made you money, put their names in chat because it's far and few. I can't wait till y'all hear this talk at InvestFest. Can we say, we can't say who? This probably would be the greatest talk on stocks and trading ever, right?
Probably.
A lot of wealth on stage.
Probably. Probably.
Like, now, y'all don't have to like me, my takes, my demeanor. I told y'all that we're going to come take this shit over. That was crazy. Okay. Here we are. There's no such thing as decentralization. That is not how they play. When I got that little call from the Vatican, hey, pipe down on this.
You got a call from the Vatican?
Shit, let's Stock Club tell you. Hey, you better pipe down on this. You getting too close to the source.
Wait.
Be Alex Jones if you want to. You ain't gonna make it, my boy.
Was it a block? Was it a private number or
it was just email from the Vatican? I was like, oh my god! I spit it through Santo. I said, I went to Roman Catholic school. Don't do that to me. Hold on.
Oh man,
the Cardinal has spoken.
Shout out to JP Morgan Chase. At some point, I'll announce the event. Shout out to Justin, Nicole. That event will be coming back. Oh boy,
yo,
I want no smoke. I want to get my little 2-3 billion. Get out the way.
They told that man to pipe down.
I did too. I was gonna go on my little Cardinal back. I found a little money trail. Boy,
yo, you sure it was the Cardinal Hayes?
No, I wasn't no Cardinal Hayes.
Shout out to BX.
Boy.
Yo.
Da Vinci Code. You decoded the Da Vinci Code?
They say you talk if you want to. Listen, I'm not trying to end up like, okay, we can talk about this. The Wagner Group.
No, let's not. We can't do that. Let's not do that.
Well, we gotta tell the people what geopolitical threats there are. Putin applying.
Oh no, okay.
Oh no. That I'm not gonna talk. But no,
okay.
You have to learn when to back down. Mitigation of risk is the most important thing in investing and trading. I'm cool. I don't want to be Alex Jones. I'm straight. But the Wagner Group, speaking of not backing off of political pressure, Wagner, for those of you who don't know, or Prigozhin, that's like King Von. Putin is Dirk. So imagine if Von turned his back on Dirk, what the smoke could have been. Do you think the war in Chirac was something? The killings in Kremlin about to go crazy. The biggest political threat that you have to keep your eyes on is this civil war in Russia. Interesting business model. When I kept saying China and Russia has an interesting pact and they want to get Africa, this is one of the reasons I was saying. So the Wagner Group business model is to take over diamond and oil mines in Central Africa. And then they end up owning 25%. I won't do a long spiel on it. I went over it with Stock Club on Saturday, but they did capture 4 of the biggest fields in 2017. They were printing a lot of money, but all of a sudden, because he turned his back on Putin, so there's some pressure there. The big issue we have to worry about is if Putin goes away or he gets sick or he dies or he gets assassinated by that group or another, that will create a power vacuum, and that may cause a bigger threat to us than Putin ever will be. which will have an impact on a very sensitive United States stock market. But I'll let you guys go do your research on that.
Yeah, no, I mean, geopolitical. Our Treasury Secretary will be visiting China this week.
Yep.
Another important move to steady economic ties. We've spoken out about this probably every week about the role that China plays. And so this is her first visit over there. Interested to see what comes from this.
Let's see.
I hope it's peaceful.
This is we must monitor the situation.
Let's talk about marriage.
Yeah.
Yes.
I do.
Put a post up. They got a lot of traction. Very controversial. Marriage is a business decision. A successful marriage can be extremely fruitful. A bad marriage can be extremely painful. Choose your partner wisely. If you don't plan for an exit, it may be difficult and costly when the time comes.
And in the comments, I'm sure I got a lot of backlash when I said women investors are better than men. So I know they was at your head over this.
Well, some of the comments were that, you're taking the romance out of it, you're taking the sacredcy out of it. It's a covenant by God. All the post said was that it's a contract. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe in any religious text it's talked about having a contract in marriage. So once you add a contract to it, now it becomes a business agreement. That I'm not even saying that's a bad thing, but we just have to go back to the HBCU. You just got the knowledge that it is what it is, right? So it's like if you sign paperwork, and this is why you just can't get a divorce. Like it's just saying you can't just say, okay, the relationship's not working out, it's over.
We're done.
You have to go through the court system to get a divorce. Even if it's amicable, it still takes some time to get a divorce. If it was just done how it was done 2,000 years ago, you would just have a witness say we're no longer married, it's over.
Good luck.
Or you want to get married, you have a witness, you say you're married.
I do.
You make your vows in the eyes of God, and now you're a union. So I'm not saying that marriage is a bad thing. I'm not saying that even the contract is a bad thing, but there is a contract.
Mm-hmm.
So when you enter a contract, you should be fully informed before you sign a contract. It's just like a record deal or anything else, right? Before you sign something, you should be fully informed of what you're signing. That's all.
The marriage license.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because that is not like you can just get out of that easily.
Right.
It just doesn't work like that. And there's a lot that comes with it.
True.
So much I want to say, but I'm not.
I do.
Why not? Why not? This is a safe place.
Oh my God, no,
YouTube, chime in. How do you YouTube chime in?
That's
How do you
true.
feel? What are your thoughts?
Hey man, I've enjoyed the show.
Thanks for you.
No. Okay. I mean, yes, trading and investing has considerable risk. So does marriage. I think there needs to be protection on both sides. The game is not fair. You got to lawyer up and be prepared. Like once the courts get involved, it's a different ball game altogether. So
tied to a rocket.
Yeah, I think everybody should sign 2 years and then the third year be a player option. See if you want to renew.
Player option.
Well played there. I like
Player
that.
option.
Player option.
What's your thoughts on this?
I was on the side that it can be very fruitful. Money does come into it. But the union is the most important part first, license or not. And so I think that.
But there is no license or not. You sign
no.
Let me finish.
Let me finish.
You gotta have a license. Well, you're not married.
I think everybody needs to look at their own circumstances and make a wise decision for themselves. Marriage isn't for everyone, and I'm noticing that the more and more we travel, that the opinion on marriage has changed.
You don't say.
It's changed, and I think that might be a generational thing. I mean, we grew up. I can speak for us. Like we grew up and we watched marriage in our households growing up, for better or for worse. And so there was that mindset of what marriage is supposed to be. But over the course of a generation, that has changed, and I've become more open-minded to the way that people are viewing what union is and whether it has a contract or not. A lot of people say we don't need that. We have love, and that isn't that the most important thing. But there are business ramifications, right? And I know people don't want to think about it, I think people view it almost like we think about life insurance in a sense where it's like we don't want to think about dying, but it's something that we have to prepare for.
Yeah.
In marriage, I feel like it could be looked at the same way. Like nobody wants to be divorced, but we should prepare if that day comes. And you can do that before you sign the paper, or you can figure that out after. But marriage has changed, man, and I pray for my brothers and all my sisters out there that are looking for that, and I salute and applaud anybody that's not looking for that and finding other ways to find companionship and union outside of legally being married.
But is it a business decision or not?
Yes, it is. 100%.
I said that. Yeah.
So I don't understand the feedback. Why they was.
I didn't even see any of it. I mean,
marriage is a business decision, 100%. It's extremely awkward to have a conversation about breaking up when you. No, I'm being honest.
I'm saying somebody put that.
If you are, it's awkward to have a conversation about a prenup or the end of your relationship at the beginning of your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
That's an awkward conversation to have.
Is it really though?
Yeah, it's extremely awkward. Just be honest. How many people really feel? People say it all the time, but like people not really even. Most people are not going to have a conversation of, okay, we're going to get married now. If this marriage doesn't work out, nobody.
You better play. Kanye did all the heavy lifting. We want prenup. We want prenup.
How many people do you know that have one though?
I only know 2.
Exactly.
I don't know any.
Exactly.
I don't know any, bro.
Exactly. One of these things that's talked about a lot. Nobody has a prenup. Very few people. Probably 1% of the population has a prenup. Probably 1% because it's awkward. Most people don't, and a lot of people are just not even in the finance. But this is the thing. You don't even have to be rich. Like at some point, we got to have a divorce lawyer on here because, like, when I was a financial advisor, like talking about a quadro is like when the court, makes a judgment on all your financial situation. So your 401k, people don't understand. Even your 401k, you might have a $500,000 in your 401k. Half.
Do you think Scottie Pippen should have talked about that prenup or no?
Should he have?
Yes.
Hindsight is 2020.
That's the real last dance. Larsa Pippen undefeated because he didn't want to have a conversation.
Mike said he don't approve of it.
He approve of Marcus doing what he doing or no?
He don't approve. No, he said he does not approve. He's not in support of it.
But yeah, like 401k half, bank account half.
Why you keep stressing that like this half?
But I'm just nobody thinks about
That's
it.
funny, though.
The average person is thinking like I'm not a millionaire or I'm not rich.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about a prenup.
Yeah.
Nobody's thinking
And
like
in this era, the women need to be way more concerned about the prenup because most of the complaints be from men. Bruh, for the women who getting into it, y'all better protect yourselves. Don't everybody go quiet at once. Listen, and some of them are gonna be lurking at InvestFest trying to come up on you. Big girl, yeah, I watch Market Mondays and all the EYL. We got similar minds. Don't fall for it. Prenup.
They told me I would find a like-minded spouse here.
You better tell Tony prenup day one. Let me see your TD Ameritrade.
The prenup.
Let me see that checkings and savings, and we sign a prenup if we get married. You better tell them off top. Are you gonna be crying? Don't end up like Kelly Clarkson.
Sometimes you got to have this is one thing I learned in business. Nobody wants to have uncomfortable conversations. But sometimes you have to have an uncomfortable conversation. So it's one of these things I think it's important. Even if you don't have a prenup, at least have the conversation of like, what are your expectations? Let's say this doesn't work out. What do you expect to get out of this?
Yep.
You might be surprised. They might say, I expect nothing. I expect everything.
Want it all.
And then sometimes people say things and then they change their mind. That happens all the time as well.
Yeah.
But I do think that marriage is extremely beneficial, and I think that from an economic standpoint, I'm just saying from a family standpoint, from an economic standpoint, also obviously 2 incomes are better than 1 income. It helps. It helps a lot, even tax benefits. So I'm pro marriage. I don't want people to think that I'm anti the situation.
So
I think
my question I want to ask it.
No,
I think it's extremely beneficial.
Yeah. But
it's a high probability it's not going to work out. So just all I'm saying is just be prepared. That's all.
Preparation.
Because on the flip side to it, what they don't talk about, just like marriage can be beneficial, A bad marriage can sink your ship.
Yeah.
Divorce, child support. At some point, we got to have a real
tax evasion.
Tax evasion.
Yeah, we talked about with some people.
Yep.
At some point, we got to have a real conversation about child support. This is the tax on black men, unproportionately. That's disproportionately.
Yeah.
That's crippling people economically.
That's a real conversation.
No, it's a very real conversation.
No,
nobody wants to talk about that.
That's a conversation I would love to be part of here. I would like to moderate that conversation.
Would you?
Yeah, I would. Because I have peers who that pay child support, and it's a conversation that like you said is disproportionately catered to affecting men, and we need to get to the bottom of why, like from a legality standpoint, from an economic standpoint, what that does.
It goes back to that conversation on. Okay, I'll ask a question. If every parent had an agreement to pay each other, or let's say dad pays mom child support and it didn't go through the state, how much net revenue would the state lose as a result because they're investing the money that comes in the child support pool? Can't mess up the inflow of the funds if you're going to invest the funds.
Yeah.
So
child support is a very bad. It's a very bad system. Extremely flawed. Nobody wins. That's the thing about it. Nobody wins in the child support system.
The state wins.
Well, yeah, that's probably the only person. But it creates such division and such animosity between men and women. Most of the time, the women are not getting enough money to even make a difference in their life.
Mm-hmm.
The men, the money is actually so the money that the women get most of the time is not life changing. The money that is taken from a man's check is life changing. So nobody wins.
There's a spread.
Nobody wins. You can't even live somewhere because $700 a month, like $600 a month, is like now that's crippling you.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the grand scheme of things, $600 a month is not gonna it helps raise a child, but if you got a child, that's not gonna change your life. You still got to work your job.
Yeah.
You still got to work overtime. You still got to do so you're still doing every single thing. So it doesn't really necessarily change your life, but it cripples somebody else's life.
And if you don't pay it,
you go to jail.
And then when you come out,
or they take your license, all kinds of different things.
Passports,
yeah.
Microsoft CEO expects for their revenue to double by 2030. So if everyone invests in Apple and Microsoft, Satya is on a warpath as well. So he'll be able to make his child support and alimony payments on time. It's in that situation.
So just be mindful for all the young people watching, women and men. Just be mindful of that because sometimes you do things and you can't really reverse the course of action.
Yeah.
It's one of these things, unfortunately, that can set you back in life. Being like I said, that's why I'm pro marriage, because being a single parent is not beneficial for anybody. It's not beneficial for anybody to be a single parent, and including the child. Yeah. So this is an economic problem that affects everybody and hurts every single person. It hurts the child, hurts the mother, hurts the father, and it's something that when you talk about finances and generational wealth, this is one of the things that can clip that early.
Yep.
And you sometimes you can never recover from it. So definitely, we can have a special. Maybe we can have a Dateline special. We have like a special relationship special. We'll talk about alimony. We'll talk about divorce. We'll talk about child support. Then we'll talk about the benefits as well. We'll talk about the tax benefits that you get for being married. We'll talk about different programs that's beneficial. But even like when you sign up to daycare, that you get hurt if it's two incomes. Sometimes it's like the one income is more beneficial than two incomes.
Yep.
And then finding one alone. My God.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
One day I'm gonna do maybe in an episode, all the ways that America takes money away from us while they tell us not to invest. We went through 5 streams right there. Let's not even talk about private school or education for kids. Like the multiple on that business alone has went up 1,500% in the last 12, 13 years.
The daycare play is
Insane.
If you have it, you're gonna pay. If you don't, it's subsidized. It's somebody gonna pay.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Well,
They said earn your alimony.
Earn your alimony.
That's funny. That's funny. So, hey, listen.
Y'all are crazy,
fellas, y'all got to watch out because that's the play too. Help you build something up. This is the real play you got to watch out. You don't have anything, Gerard. You find somebody, she help you build it and then take 70% on the back end. Oh, that's the other venture capital.
The earn your
That's the
alimony.
other V capital.
The earn your alimony play is easy. You go to South Beach, you go to West Hollywood, you go to all of these different places.
Are you a little sucker?
So why can't we take that serious, man? What's wrong with us?
But that is an investment strategy.
I'm talking about
Sandy Springs, and you just wait. It's like fishing. Just wait.
Facts.
Wait.
Somebody gonna bite.
Stay out long enough. You're gonna catch a fish.
Big fish.
Y'all can
catch some suckers on InvestFest.
That's a fact.
Okay. You just wait.
So y'all may be applying too much pressure.
Patience.
That's a fact. You go to all these events that you see, earn your leisure in, and just go to the clubs. You see the same people.
Facts.
Intentionally.
Yo, he's not lying, bro.
Intentionally.
He's not lying.
This is all over the world.
Hey, back world tour inside the world tour. I can't wait to go back.
All you need is one. Somebody's
you only need one victory.
That's it. All you need is one.
Flawless victory.
Hey.
The shooting guard for the you name it.
Somebody on the team.
You name it.
Yeah.
Fill in the blank. All-Star weekend.
Ian, real quick. I know we're going to do, can we just do like two dead or alive real quick?
Yeah, real quick.
Let's give it to him real quick. All right. So this is like a abbreviated version of dead or alive segment where we're looking at the health of the companies to tell whether their vital signs are strong or weak. Let's do three. Let's start with Target. Traded at 134 today, down 11% year to date, up 3% in June. They just announced that their dividend is going to increase to $1.10. Thoughts on Target?
They got some other issues they need to fix. That ESG campaign is ruining them. They've adjusted to where they should be. But the ESG, I don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole, but I don't like Target at this price. Maybe if I can grab it at 80. And when I'm comparing them in a retail space, I got to compare them against McDonald's, Starbucks, Chipotle. Their margins are not better. Business models not better. So I'm not going to say dead, but I wouldn't touch Target until it got to about $80. Yeah, I wouldn't touch it.
Yeah, shout out to everybody that was in the market today. I know they were confused. It's 2:00 and the market closed. It's a holiday tomorrow, y'all. That's what happened. All right, one of my favorites. We said this 2 years ago. 2 years ago, and I think we had a phone call about it. MercadoLibre, ticker MELE, the Amazon of South America.
Yeah, I like them.
12, almost 1,200, 1193. They're up 44% year to date. They're up 281% over the past 5 years. When we talk about profitability, yes, they do that, but they do it consistently. What's your thoughts on MercadoLibre?
MercadoLibre is alive, but the PE ratio looks like that of a tech stock, though. I think they got to, let me see, got to $2,000 in 2021. It had to tumble, came down to almost 600. MercadoLibre is a great stock, but it's a stock you have to buy it at the right price. So like alive and well, thriving between 605 to 810 is where I like them. Anywhere other than that is too high. They probably won't surpass the all-time high until at least a year after the election, because I think that's when like the economy will start to stabilize a little bit. But between like 600 and 800, I like it if you're going to hold it for a 5-year period. But yeah, MercadoLibre is alive and well.
Somebody said puts on Zion.
Big Fendi.
Yo, man, it happens, man. Anybody get caught up, man. Hold your head, Zion. Hold your head. Happens.
Earn your alimony. Go find you a little sucker. Mandate $50,000 a month. Listen, he paid $100 for that for stepped on.
Yo, it happens, man.
These
Yo,
are my
bro, I'm not.
That's
I'm not. I don't know
That's
comment
crazy.
on that.
No, we gonna
I'm
talk.
not even sure. Yeah, man, we love our women, man.
That's crazy. Look.
Wait, last one, because we gotta say it because people are like, yo, you didn't talk about it, and we spoke about EVs, talk about Tesla. Rivian had a great week last week, up 40% over the past week, 12% for the year. Their deliveries outpaced their estimates. I think 2 weeks ago, they announced that they're going to be using Tesla's charging stations. What's your thoughts on Rivian? Are we dead or what's the vital sign on that?
Had a nice bounce. I'm not mad at it. I'm not gonna come out and immediately say dead, but they are not a winner over Tesla. I think this is more of a better swing trade. I love our women too, ladies. If you can get $100 grand a month out of man, put 50 grand of it into the market, you'll easily make $4 or $5 million a year. Let me help you. I got a pacer, a Chicago Bull. I can help you finesse. Hey, listen, we can be the other arc. The arc from the three.
I got a
arc
pacer.
fund. Jesus. A Hornet or two. Jesus. Anyway, Rivian should get you $24. Talk about bad investment.
Yo, I'm out, man. This is crazy.
It's been real.
Hey, y'all wanted a live episode.
That's the new ticker. They said Zion's the new ticker. That's crazy. ZION.
Triple levered volatility fund by Invesco. Boy, ladies, you get you 3 of them. Boy, you can put $100 grand into the market. Boy, yo, talk about generational wealth. Find you a generational sip to build generational wealth.
That's the new strategy.
Woo. Y'all thought the options was fire in 2020. 2023, find you a simp and build generational wealth. Game, set, match.
They watching the Woj report. 260?
Jesus Christ.
Oh man. You know what's crazy? Like the migration.
Shout out to Woj.
It's gonna start coming. That whole wave is gonna start coming to InvestFest because once they start to realize like this is where the real billionaires are.
They've already been trying.
Yeah, no, but it's gonna come in.
It's gonna get worse though.
It's gonna get worse.
Yeah.
Woo! You wanted a live show. You wanted a live show.
You wanted a live show. I'm gonna give it to you.
This is what the live show comes with.
Yes.
You never know what can happen.
No edits.
No edits.
Come to Chicago. I'm gonna have the Earn Your Alimony play.
Hey,
I'm gonna break down what to invest in, where to do the options, how many contracts on futures, how to read the scouting report. Can we get Brittany Renner? Hey, y'all. I swear to God, I want Brittany there.
We need to have, yes. Well, Ghana is on the way, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. We are coming to the motherland, and we will be announcing that extreme. I know time is of the essence, so it's top level priority. We just working on just finalizing the venue, but we want to make sure that it's an experience like no other. It will be in December, at the end of December, most likely. Mm-hmm. But we're working on that. We will be announcing that extremely soon. You can get on the waiting list just to wait, but the Ghana situation will happen. It will be the first time ever that something like this ever happens, where we taking the show on the road and we going to Ghana in December. Extremely important. I saw 19 Keys doing push-ups on a jet ski.
19
different.
That was amazing.
That dude, most interesting man.
And his crown did not move either.
No,
Keys, you got to tell me how you keep. He be so poised too. That was fine.
Yeah,
he did. Yeah. He did push-ups on a jet ski.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And I was saying that every time we talk about Ghana and we move in a lot of circles, people are like, "Oh, we're coming.
Yeah,
we want to join y'all out there."
A lot of people are looking forward to Ghana. Even in Ghana, we spoke to somebody in Ghana, and he was like, "Yo, the buzz out here is crazy. Like people have been talking about it there." So the anticipation is building.
Yeah.
19. We're going to do an HBCU tour next year or no?
There are some talks with some people.
Yes.
Now after tonight, I'm sure they're looking forward to it.
We can do Clark Spellman Morehouse. That'd be cool. Look, 3 in, 3 out. I used to wreak havoc on that promenade. Shout out to everybody in Spellman. These people, HH terrorists, boy. Let me chill. TV timeout. This episode was sponsored by nobody. EJ Nito Saturday night, boy.
Oh man. All right.
You just
Yo.
trading by 85 South. Check out the episode by my
Tomorrow.
fellas, 85 South
Yeah,
tomorrow.
Yep.
Chico, Los, Fly, Chad, Ryan,
Yeah.
love y'all.
Check out the episode tomorrow, 85 South, Earn Your Leisure collaboration,
Yeah.
1 o'clock on the 4th of July. Perfect way to spend the 4th of July. Be safe out there.
Yeah.
4th of July is here. And year's almost over, ladies and gentlemen. That's
I know.
crazy.
Time to start planning next year.
That's crazy.
Well, what do you guys want to see Market Mondays tour next year? Put some cities in chat.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm ready to get back on the road. Mexico, you are up next. Y'all don't say I miss my motherland, homeland, other land.
Dominican Republic, you're on the clock.
Hey.
What?
You are on the clock. The Market Mondays DR live show. Can you speak Spanish?
No.
No.
Translator.
I can understand it, you know.
We'll get a translator.
A few of them.
A few of them. Yes. We will have a few translators in DR.
Yep.
And yes.
Yep.
Fellas, don't get in trouble out there. Why y'all want to play? You're gonna be Zion out there, okay? Nah, yeah, I was trading the NASDAQ. No, you trading something else. You trying to do the arbitrage on the Forex out there. No.
Foreign exchange.
For real.
Rationing.
Hey, be careful.
The real Forex.
Yeah.
The real rationing.
Oh man. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, so y'all be good to each other. Love is love. Check out the episode tomorrow. Tap in and be safe out there. It's warm out here. The heat index is increased. I want y'all to be safe. If you're at camp, hydrate yourself. If you're going on vacation, safe travels. And love is love, man. Be good to each other.
In Chicago, we'll be announcing that Chicago date probably next week. So Chicago, big show planned for you guys as well. Can't forget Chicago. Can't forget Chicago. The whole Midwest. Gary, Indiana, Chicago, Peoria.
Yeah, Peoria. Yeah. Calumet City. Oh my God. Flint, Michigan. Listen, I need Bump J, Dirt, WGCI, Power 92 starting out. Hey, listen, I'm from the Midwest. We need to get the word out. We need to help the kids. The violence is crazy in Chicago. Please tap in. Right? Come on, Xander, do your thing too. Copy me. There we go. Wow. Right? We're going to come back to the Midwest and put on the show. We're going to have some special surprises. And this is probably one of my best performances. And so I already start writing the outline for the Chicago show. Cannot wait to go crazy.
Shot Town, what's going on? All right.
All right, y'all.
It's
Peace.
real. Love.